Welcome to my anime recap channel. In this video, I will be recapping the anime series, Blue Lock Season 1.
The National High School football qualifiers are taking place between Ichinan High School and Matsuke's High School, with the current score being 0-1. Yoichi Isagi is the one with the ball, contemplating whether to pass or shoot the goal himself. He decides to pass the ball to his teammate Tada, who then failed to make a goal. The other school is having a counter with Ryusuke Kira as the lead player. He manages to score a goal, making the score 0-2, making his team the winner. Tada apologizes to his team for not making the goal. Meanwhile, Kira is being interviewed about how he felt being able to play for Japan's under-18 national team. Kira responds that he's got his sights of winning the nationals with his team and says that the reason for his success was having a capable team he could rely on. Isagi's coach made a closing speech for his team, devastated by the loss. The coach cries while giving his advice to remember the defeat but don't think of it as meaningless but instead to remember it. He then declares that his team is still the best in Japan. While saying this, in Isagi's mind, they are just a team that fell one step short of playing at nationals. After the match, when Isagi is on his way home, he suddenly thinks of Noah and tells himself that he will never be a great hero like him. He then reminisces his childhood days watching Noah play and being inspired by him to play football. He imagined what would have happened if he was the one who kicked the ball, how his fate would have changed. He then says to himself that what-ifs are pointless in football and they didn't lose because he chose for team play and talks that football is a sport played with 11 people. He then shouts and cries because he wanted to win. Isagi arrives home and his mother tells him that he had gotten a letter from the Japan Football Association for a player improvement project. The next day, Isagi arrives at the Japan Football Union building and encounters Kira. Kira tells Isagi that he remembered the other since he was quite a player and had an impressive field perspective and high football IQ. Upon opening the entrance, they saw many players also waiting in the area. A man begins his speech and tells the players that they are chosen based on his criteria alone, and proceeds to introduce himself as Junpachi Ego and his job is to make Japan a team capable of winning the World Cup. He said that he will forge the best striker in the world among the 300 under-18 forwards he chose, and in order for him to achieve that, the Blue Lock facility was created. He then states that all players will live in the building and will strictly follow his regimen and that their careers are over. Ego further emphasizes that if anyone manages to defeat all 299 players and be the one remaining, the last player standing will become the best striker in the world. Shocked by what Ego said, Kira responds that their current teams are their priority and he cannot accept those terms mentioned. All the other players agreed. Ego then responds and asks them if they would rather be a high school champ than becoming the best striker in the world. He then tells the players that he cringes at the look of Japan's future in their hands. Japan may be the best in organizational skills in football but in everything else, they are second-rate. Ego then asks the players what is football to them, a sport where you try to score goals in teams of 11 players, and proceeds that thinking is wrong. He then tells that football is a sport about scoring goals even at the expense of your teammates. The best player is the one that scores the most goals. Kira responds and tells Ego that what he said was insulting players like Honda, Kagawa, and others that shaped Japan's national lineup, and the value of team play instilled is the same for them. Ego then mocks the mentioned players as the squad that has yet to win a single World Cup. He then mentions Noah, Eric Cantona, and Pele as revolutionary strikers, but their extraordinary egoism is what Japan lacks. He then plays a scenario wherein the hopes of all Japan lie in their shoulders. He then states that if they want that rebellious egoism, then they should step through the gate. He then says his last message that football is a sport to develop the players as strikers and think of literally everyone as supporting them, and tells them to throw away their common sense because, in football, they are a star. After hearing Ego's words, which made Isagi shivered, he decides to step through the gate. The other players also step through the gate with the hopes of becoming the best striker. Isagi is on a bus on the way to the Blue Lock facility. Upon arriving, they were given uniforms with a number and letter by Anri. Isagi is given the number 299 letter Z. The Z states their respective rooms. Isagi then enters the facility and goes to his respective room. Upon opening, he learned that it is a shared room. Kira calls out Isagi, tells him that he is relieved to see a familiar face. A shirt then hits Isagi's face. Upon removing it, the player apologizes to Isagi and tells him to be careful of stepping. Isagi then finds a sleeping player on the floor. Isagi then changes into his uniform. A player named Girumu Igarashi, a second-year forward, introduces himself to Isagi and Kira. Igarashi then tells them that he was born in a temple and has a promise with his old man to make Igarashi no inherit the temple if he became a pro player. Igarashi reveals that he was pumped up by Igo's speech. After talking, Igo appears at a screen stating that everyone in the room will be each other's roommates and rivals. He then reveals that the number attached is their ranking among the 300 players in the blue lock. Their ranking will change based on several factors like going up and down based on the training or the results of their game, and unconditionally. The top 5 players will participate for Japan's under-20 national team for the World Cup, and those defeated will be permanently barred from the team. He then tells them that they are looking for Igo, and it will be the ones measured in the facility. Igo then announces a game tag where the time limit is 136 seconds and whoever is it when the timer runs out will be removed from the team. The first it is the lowest among the team, which is Igarashi. Igo explains that tag is just one of many exercises prop players warm up with and the egoism test that he will provide great insight on selfishness behind the strikers. The timer starts. While Igarashi has the ball, a player talks to him if he really believes what Igo said about Japan's under-20. Igarashi replies that he doesn't know for sure but he'll do it because if he loses, he will come back to the temple and be a monk. Igarashi then decides to target Isagi, which is only one rank higher than him, but Isagi manages to dodge the attack. The other players run away. Kira then voices out that there's no way pros train like this and the reason he entered Blue Lock is to reject Igo's ideology. He then further tells that trying to stake their football careers on a 2-minute play of tag is screwed up and affirms that he cannot let Igo destroy his future. While listening to Kira's thoughts, Isagi thinks about his goal to run away and not to get hit. While failing to hit anyone, Igarashi spots a sleeping guy and decides to change his target. Upon kicking the ball, Gurimu was kicked at the face by the player. The player was then approached by another player and tells him that he hates dirty play and to play fair and square. The player, which reveals to be Kunigami, rank 291, was hit by the ball and is now the it. Igarashi uses Isagi to defend himself, resulting in Isagi being hit by the ball. Only 1 minute and 3 seconds left. Isagi became the third it. Isagi then tries to attack but fails to hit anyone. After failing to hit anyone, he decides to attack Igarashi, which is the lowest ranked player. Only 50 seconds left. Isagi still chases Igarashi. Isagi still hasn't hit anyone and tells himself that he doesn't want to end it like this and let his dream end. The player who hit Igarashi calls Isagi's attention while restraining Kunigami, giving Isagi a chance to attack Kunigami while arm-locking him. Kunigami throws him, resulting in him hitting Igarashi. After that hit, Igarashi strained his foot and cannot move. Kira then shouts at Isagi and tells him to take the shot. Igarashi is begging Isagi to spare him and apologizes for aiming at Isagi earlier. Isagi stops at his tracks, thinking his next steps that if he tags Igarashi, he can win, but it will end Igarashi's career. He struggles to make a decision but decides that if he doesn't do it, he will lose. As for him to accomplish his dreams, he needs to destroy the dream of other. Isagi is planning to kick the ball towards Igarashi. 15 seconds left. Isagi stops and decides to attack those higher than him. After the decision of sparing Igarashi, Isagi decides to attack others, but Meguro, rank 290, steals the ball from him. 10 seconds left. He decides to go for Kira. 8 seconds left. Kira managed to dodge the attack. 7 seconds left. Meguro tries to attack Kira with his leg but also dodges it. 5 seconds left. Kira runs away and Meguro hits the ball towards Kira's direction. 4 seconds left. The ball is coming towards Isagi's direction. 3 seconds left. While concentrating the ball, he kicks the ball and it hit Kira's face. The timer reaches 0, making Kira the last target. Shocked, Kira asks Isagi what he had done. Isagi, also in shock, apologizes to Kira and tells him that the ball came so fast. The game is over. Igo then appears again at the screen and declares that Kira is expelled. Shocked and angry by the result, Kira confronts Igo, stating that he's throwing away the future of Japan and tells him to expel Igarashi or Isagi instead. Kira then asks what's the point of the game and tells that tag is not football. Igo replies that everything they do at Blue Lock is related to football and tells Kira to look at his environment. He then tells that the room is the exact same proportions as the penalty area and stating that 75% of goals are scored from that area and it is a striker's domain. He also said that if one cannot survive under those conditions, they are not qualified to be strikers. Kira then replies that tag has nothing to do with football. Igo replies that a skill required by the fleeing side is tactical awareness or positioning. As for the pursuer, What they need is not only accurate dribbling but precision to make shots, and that's what is optimal in football training. Kira angrily tells that he can't expect to know all that stuff in under 2 minutes and that football lasts more than 90 minutes. Ego replies that an average time a player possesses a ball during a match is about 136 seconds, and they were given the exact same opportunity in the tag game. Kira, still confused, and tells Ego what he expects him to do in just 10 seconds. Ego replies if that is what he would say if it is a real match. Kira was then expelled from the team. Stunned, Kira wasn't able to give an answer. Ego then replays the scene and tells Kira that he has 1 second left to survive, either shooting it at injured Igarashi, and yet he wasted his chance. Ego then tells an imaginary scenario wherein he is in the middle of the match, standing in a penalty area. His teammate's shot didn't reach the goal and hits his body. When this happens, he already gave up, but he didn't notice that by sheer luck the ball falls before him, and if he had just tapped the ball, he would be saved from his own mistake. Ego then tells that the one who is it in the tag, the one who has the ball, decides who they want to win but also gets to decide who they want to lose, and that a striker carries all responsibilities on his back and the one who keeps on attacking until the very second. He then mentions Isagi, who instead aimed for injured Igarashi, chose to defeat those that are higher than him, and Bachira with the initiative to aim for the strongest player are perfect examples of people who rather do what's best for their team, had the tenacity and courage to pursue their own will. And that's the egoism Ego is looking for. Ego then expels Kira. Kira still cannot believe he is out. Isagi calls him, but Kira gives him an angry look and proceeds to leave the facility. Isagi still thinks why he hit Kira and looks at Bachira. He then approaches him and asks the reason for passing him the ball and if he didn't hit it, Bachira instead would get expelled. Bachira replies that he thought he would kick it so he passed it, and tells Isagi that results are everything in the place. He tells Isagi that he believed him so he won. Igarashi then voices out that it is nonsense from the beginning to the end. Hearing this, Ego agrees that it is nonsensical, but so is the world. Either you win or lose, and that while they are getting excited over mediocre successes, true strikers tread a path of winning or losing everything, every single day in order to keep on surviving. He then asks how it felt for them, that they felt true danger, and tells them that the football they've played their lives are for weaklings, and tells the feeling of victory. Ego then declares that the remaining players have passed the entrance test and their room is designed for no more than 11 people, and the 11 players Jingo Raichi, Wataru Kyon, Okuhito Iman, Yudai Imamura, Asahi Narahaya, Jin Gagamaru, Gurimo Igarashi, Hayoma Chigiri, Rensuke Kunigami, Meguro Bachira, and Yoichi Isagi will be Blue Lock's Team Z. Team Z is doing their regimen, which includes running tests and jumping tests. After the training is mealtime. Other players are already sleeping, but Isagi is seen too nervous to sleep. He then decided to practice, on which he encountered Bachira. They decided to play a one-on-one game. Isagi asks Bachira whether he passed to him, thinking that Isagi would get rid of Kira. Bachira responded that there is a monster lurking inside of him who said to pass to Isagi because he also has a monster inside him. Bachira told Isagi that he is glad he came to Blue Lock because he met him. All the players of Team Z were told to gather at the room for an announcement of rankings. Igarashi moved from 300 to 275. Isagi's rank moved from 299 to 274. Ego discussed the Blue Lock, in which it is arranged into 5 different strata, and here are 25 teams ranging from B to Z, with each set of 5 times in a stratum living in the same conditions. After the game of tag, there are only 275 players left. The first selection was then announced. Somewhere in Japan, the Football Journal is doing an interview on surprise star player Itoshi, a 17-year-old Japanese midfielder, who highly detests football in Japan. Though he has no interest in Japanese football, he already has a spot on the Japan national team, stating it's not important to him at all. Itoshi makes a bold declaration and promptly leaves the interview. It is revealed that Itoshi is only back in Japan to renew his passport, but while leaving the building stumbles upon a press conference for Blue Lock. Reporters bombard Henri and Hirotoshi with questions on the realism and reliability of Blue Lock, and Henri responds with confidence that Blue Lock will succeed and definitely fix Japan's broken soccer by creating a hero. This piques the interest of Itoshi. The first selection is explained in detail. It will be a round-robin tourney between the 5 teams of the 5th stratum, and only the top 2 teams will advance to the second selection. Another way to advance is to be the top scorer and most dominate player on your team. Tourney rankings are based on points that are awarded dependent on game outcome. A win is 3 points, a draw is 1 point, and a loss is 0 points. Also, the amount of points lost by is taken into account to rank teams with the same amount of points. Team Z is taken aback as they realize they will have to play together to advance, and then they start debating about who plays what position. Back in the conference hall, Henri talks about the history of Japanese football and how Japan has come so far and gotten so close to the World Cup but always comes out short. With Blue Lock, the dream of being the best in the world is officially revived. A hero must be born and they must lead Japan to victory. That hero will be born from Blue Lock, a facility packed to the brim with people who want nothing more than to be the best. At that moment, Itoshi tells his manager to cancel all his plans for he wants to see what kind of player Blue Lock can create. Z is playing rock paper and scissors to see who gets to pick their desired position. Isagi wins the game and chooses to become forward. Shortly after, Ego appears on the TV screen and he begins to re-explain the first selection. A round-robin tourney between 5 teams, with only the top 2 teams advancing forward in Blue Lock. An alternative to survive is to be the top scorer on your team at the end of the selection. With that information given, Ego states the first match Team X versus Team Z of the tourney will begin in 2 hours. Before the game, Team Z discusses their strategy and how they will center their plays around Isagi, even though they are unsure whether they can rely on him. Even with their doubt, they steel themselves and walk out onto the field to face their opponents. Team X versus Team Z. The game is set to last for 90 minutes with a break in between. The game starts with Bachira in possession of the ball. Isagi, the forward, is having a hard time breaking through the defense of Team X, while thinking of a strategy to pass through Team X's defense. The ball is taken away from him by his teammate Raichi. Kunigami followed. Team X took advantage of the sudden turmoil and confusion of Team Z to steal the ball. However, much to Isagi's surprise, players of Team X also disregarded the idea of team play. All of the players started playing for themselves. Seeing the greedy play style of the players, Isagi remarks that this game isn't football. Players started becoming more physical towards their opponents and teammates as well. Nonetheless, amid the turmoil, someone was able to break through. Barou, in possession of the ball, faces Isagi. Barou is from Team X and ranked 250th. Isagi is blocking Barou from passing. To pass Isagi, Barou does a heel flick. This move amazes Isagi, making him unable to react quickly. After that, Barou was able to pass through Kyon and Imamura with nutmegs. Barou then kicks the ball towards the net. The goalkeeper Iman failed to stop the ball, resulting in the goal of Team X. After Barou's goal, his teammates were ecstatic and joyful. Barou, however, stated that he is not scoring in this match to make friends. He remarked that his teammates' sole purpose is to make him shine, declaring that he is the one true king. On the other hand, Team Z was not pleased with Team X scoring. Egiguri blamed Iman for failing as a goalkeeper. Kyon tried calming the other players, and Raichi blamed Isagi for his incompetence as a forward. Raichi then told Isagi to stick on defense instead. The game resumes. Since Team Z's players were playing selfishly, Isagi decided to pass between himself and Bachira alone. As the ball was going to Bachira, Egiguri stopped it. Egiguri told Isagi that Blue Lock's first selection was not about which team wins or loses. Instead, the important characteristic is the will to score as many goals as one can. Unfortunately, the ball was stolen from Egiguri by a player from Team X. To take advantage of Team Z's meltdown and selfish playstyle, players from Team X decided to pass all the balls to Barou to win. Isagi, seeing Team X playing as a team, considered Team Z's win as hopeless and impossible. Leaving Barou unmarked will allow him to score. However, if all of them covered him, players from Team X will be left open. The game reached a score of 5-0 with Team X in the lead. To make a comeback, Bachira suggested that he and Isagi must score to win. It ends with Isagi stating that he must become the foundation for Team Z, like how Barou is the foundation for Team X. Bachira suggests diverting the focus of Team X towards him to create a sneak attack with Isagi. After getting the ball from Bachira, Isagi must run and score a goal. With only 3 minutes left on the clock, it seems impossible to gain more than 5 goals to win the game. During the game, Bachira successfully passed the ball to Isagi. Isagi drives the ball and believed that the only thing left to do is to surpass the goalkeeper. Much to his surprise, Barou appears, making Isagi doubt his chances of scoring. Isagi then starts to lose confidence in himself. Raichi and Kunigami then appear, asking for Isagi to pass the ball instead. Isagi believes that he shouldn't pass the ball to survive Blue Lock. Surprisingly, he unconsciously kicks the ball towards Kunigami. Kunigami kicks the ball and scores. The score is now 5-1, with Team X in the lead. Raichi, on the other hand, is furious at Isagi for choosing to pass to Kunigami than him. Unlike Kunigami, Raichi is unmarked and in a preferable location. Barou then calls Isagi talentless. Barou stated that a striker who chokes in front of the goal simply does not have what it takes to be one. The buzzer then rings, marking the end of the match. The match ended with a score of 5-1. Team X was declared the winner, while Team Z was the loser. After the game, Team Z is changing their clothes. While changing, Raichi stated that Isagi's failure as a forward and striker resulted to the loss of their team. Raichi also said that to win in the next game, he must be the forward. Because of this, other players chimed in their opinions, stating that they should be the next strikers. On the other side of the room, Isagi reflects on what Barou told him. Isagi is unsure why he chose to pass to Kunigami instead of scoring by himself. Isagi wants to know how he can be of more help to Team Z. Team Z becomes chaotic, with each player claiming that they should be the striker in the next game. Kyoan then scolds Team Z. Kyoan explains how troubling Team Z's situation has been after losing to Team X. Kyoan explained that losing in their next game will result in the elimination of the whole team. Thus it isn't time for them to be thinking of themselves alone. After that, Team Z wondered what the first selection meaning was. Chigiri remarked that it may have been related to playing football from scratch to work on each player's foundations. Isagi then said that he may have understood the purpose of the first selection. Isagi believes that the football by scratch that Ego described is similar or equal to a freestyle game. The chaos brought by the freestyle game, however, was destroyed by Barou when he successfully scored a goal. Barou then became the foundation of Team X. After witnessing Barou's sheer talent, his teammates improved their play by following Barou's lead. Isagi noted that a foundation is what Team Z needs to win. Team Z needs an overwhelming talent to carry the team towards victory. The first selection explains the importance of having a top-notch striker for a team to succeed. Ego then appears on the screen and tells Team Z that their conclusion is correct. Also, he showed the results of today's match and each team's rankings. Team V is first, X is second, W is third, Z is fourth, and Y is fifth. Ego then changes the topic to the importance of having a weapon. Every striker carries a weapon that disrupts the opposite team's organization, making them yield and unable to move. Ego noted that every single elite striker carries their own unparalleled weapon. Team Z is tasked with identifying and polishing their unique weapons. Inside Team Z's shared room, each player identifies their unique weapons. Bachira's weapon is his dribbling. Raichi excels in his shooting technique. Gagamaru is great at close-quarter plays. Narahaya can fly across the pitch. Lemon is a jack of all trades. Egaguri has an unyielding fighting spirit. Kunigami's left foot has a strong shooting power. Imamura has excellent speed and technique. Kyoan has exceptional jumping power. This leaves Isagi and Chigiri. Isagi has a hard time distinguishing his weapon. Isagi asks for a little bit of time to think of his weapon. Kyoan then asks Chigiri about his weapon. However, Chigiri does not want to tell it. Raichi found Chigiri's actions arrogant and then asks the team to move on without Chigiri and Isagi's weapons identified. Taking the lead and strategizing, Kyoan tells the team that each player must learn how to utilize their weapons to the fullest. Lemon then asked if Kyoan's suggestion will not result in a playstyle similar to their performance in their previous game. Team Z's greedy and selfish playstyle led to the ultimate demise of the team. To avoid having a chaotic and self-centered match, Kyoan suggests the "I'm the next 9" tactic. Each player will have 10 minutes to be the striker and display their weapons. After strategizing, Team Z went through special training. The training aims to unify Team Z as a team. Following the special training, the players go to the dining hall to eat. Isagi eats natto. It is hinted that he has been eating natto ever since he was at Blue Lock. While eating, Isagi reflects on what his weapon could be. After a few minutes, Kunigami appears. Kunigami thanks Isagi for passing the ball to him. Isagi then asks Kunigami why he plays football. Kunigami says that it's simple. He plays so that he can be a football superhero. Isagi noted that the resolution that Kunigami has is what he lacks. Kunigami then offers Isagi a plate of steak. Kunigami shows to Isagi the goal exchange system. He then explains that for every goal a player scores, you can exchange it for various stuff. 1 point for 300g sirloin steak, 3 points for a cell phone return, 5 points for a high-quality bed. Lastly, 10 points for a day outside. Kunigami shares the steak with Isagi, believing that he deserves half the credit for it. While eating, Kunigami asks Isagi why he passed to him and not to Raichi. On the other hand, Raichi was in a better spot and unmarked. Isagi laughs and tells Kunigami that he passed unconsciously. Like a reflex, Kunigami suggested that Isagi's weapon may be the ability to smell the goal. Team Y versus Team Z. Kyon tells Team Z that Team Y is in a similar situation with them. Like Team Z, if Team Y loses, they will be up for elimination and unable to recover. Kyon also warns the team to watch out for Hibiki Okawa. For this match, Team Z will be using the "I'm the next 9" strategy. There will be a rotation for the players performing as forward. To fully grasp the potential of each member's weapons, every member of Team Z must support the main forward and wait for their turn. Chigiri however asks to remain in the defensive. He shows no interest in being in the offensive. Because of this, each player will have 10 minutes to exhibit their weapon. The first forward of Team Z is Bachira. Bachira easily broke through by himself using his super solo strategy. Nonetheless, Bachira was caught unprepared when Nico stole the ball from behind. Isagi remarks that, like Team Z, Team Y has its own strategies. After a few minutes, Bachira tries once more, but 10 minutes have already passed. The next striker is Kunigami. Kunigami's weapon relies on his teammates to bring the ball to his zone while he focuses on staying unmarked. Fortunately, a teammate passes the ball to Kunigami. Kunigami kicks the ball, hoping to score, but was blocked by 2 players from Team Y. The ball continues to be stolen from one team to the other. While playing, Isagi noticed that Okawa has not been moving for some time. Suddenly, Okawa moved. Apparently, Okawa was precisely waiting for the right time to attack. Isagi concluded that Team Z was able to attack only because Team Y allowed them to attack. All this time, Okawa was waiting for Nico to give him a signal to attack. Okawa, in possession of the ball, runs towards the goal. Isagi believes that Team Z fell into Team Y's trap. Lemon, new to the position of goalkeeper, failed to block Okawa's pass. This inevitably resulted in Okawa scoring a goal. The score is now 1-0. It is hinted that Okawa's weapon is his super shooting. To avoid another goal by Team Y, Team Z decided on having 2 players mark Okawa. Isagi deduced that Team Y's tactic was to hold out and wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. Isagi believes that, to defeat Team Y, they must stop Okawa from scoring. Meanwhile, Team Z is still employing their "I'm the next 9" strategy. For Team Z, the next forward will be Kyon. To fully utilize Kyon's power, Team Z attempts to pass the balls at a very tall height to put the opposite team at a disadvantage. This however proves to be difficult since Team Y has an excellent defense. Struggling to pass the ball, Kunigami overlooked Nico's presence. Nico used this opportunity to steal the ball from Kunigami and pass it to his teammate. This shocked Isagi since he thought that Nico would pass it to Okawa, who was great at scoring. The game continues. As each minute passes, Team Z is losing their chance for victory. 45 minutes have passed. Inside the break room, players of Team Z is shown having mixed emotions, none of which is positive. With a score of 1-0, Chigiri questions if the "I'm the next 9" tactic is effective. Chigiri's doubts angered Raichi. Raichi believes Chigiri is in no place to complain, seeing that Chigiri chose to conceal his weapons from the team. Once again, Team Z is in dispute. Kyon steps us to stop the conflict. Kyon argues that their current strategy is working and that there is no need to change anything. Isagi in his head wonders if doing so is the right choice. The second half of the game starts with Team Y in possession of the ball. Following Team Z's strategy, Imamura will be the main forward for these 10 minutes. Imamura however is having a hard time using his weapons since the opponent has the ball. To Imamura, football is like love. A girl that is out of his league. That girl is like Team Y. Once Imamura gets past that girl, he'll win him over. A teammate passes the ball to him. Imamura kicks the ball, hoping to score to a goal. Unfortunately, Imamura's efforts were unsuccessful. To prove that Imamura's efforts were not in vain, Gagamaru comes to the rescue. Gagamaru tries to score using his head, but fails. 10 minutes have passed, and Gagamaru is the next main forward. 20 minutes have passed in the second half, but Team Z hasn't scored yet. To avoid losing again, to secure victory, to stay longer in blue lock, Isagi decided to trust his premonitions. In an instant, Isagi chose to trust his instincts. In the middle of the heated game, Isagi realizes that he was wrong. Not just mistaken, the whole Team Z was tricked. Isagi learned that it wasn't Okawa who they need to keep watch of. Instead, it was Nico pulling all the shots for Team Y. The core of Team Y was Nico, not Okawa. Nico has been maintaining Team Y's defensive and offensive stability. Nico has been Team Y's secret leader. This shocking information led Isagi to the decision that he must put a stop to Nico. Bachira passes the ball to Isagi, drives the ball towards the goal to score. Before the ball reaches the net, Nico stops it. Luckily, Gagamaru rebounds the ball. In the court, Nico reveals to Isagi that if it weren't for him, Okawa would have scored his second goal. If that had happened, Team Y would have already won. Nico also tells Isagi that they have the very same eyes, but Isagi cannot win against him. According to Nico, he is in control of the game right now. Team Z's monitoring room. Team Z is preparing for their upcoming match. Aiman informs them that Team W's key players are the Wanama brothers, Keisuke Wanama and Junichi Wanama. When the twins played against Barou's team, the brothers scored 4 goals combined. Isagi then tells the others that the twins are useless when they are isolated. Aiman agrees with him, saying that to defeat Team W, they must split them apart. Kyon then comes to the monitoring room after taking a long bath. Kyon tells the team that for their next game, they will follow an improved version of their tactic. Kyon calls this new strategy the 3x3 All-Stars tactic. Aiman and Chigiri is not part of this tactic. Instead, Aiman will be the goalkeeper, while Chigiri would rather stay on the defensive again. The game between Team W and Team Z starts. The Wanama brothers have the ball. Team Z tries to stop the twins from passing through, but they failed to do so. Keisuke tells Team Z that their weapon is their eye contact. While playing, Keisuke notices Chigiri. Keisuke insults Chigiri, asking him if HEW was the genius with the glass knee. It is revealed that Chigiri, Keisuke, and Junichi belonged to the same school club then. While passing through Chigiri, Keisuke tells him that his football career has come to an end. Keisuke also warned Chigiri, stating that he might snap his fragile knees again. While Keisuke is busy threatening Chigiri, Isagi steals the ball from him. Isagi tells Chigiri to ignore the twins' threats and warnings. Isagi says to Chigiri that unlike Chigiri, he doesn't have a past he can boast about. Because of this, Isagi came to Blue Lock to sharpen his skills. Through football, Isagi aims to change his life. The ball is passed from one player to the other in Team Z. Kyon receives the ball last and scores a goal. After that, Isagi declares to Chigiri that doesn't care about his past but instead who he is now. The score is now 0-1, with Team Z in the lead. Serving as Junichi's spokesperson, Keisuke scolds his teammates for not being skilled defenders. The game resumes with a score of 0-1. Team Z in the lead. Junichi has the ball but it seems like he does not want to score. A half-hearted Junichi made it easy for Kunigami to steal the ball from him. Kunigami then passed the ball to Bachira. Seeing Kyon open and unmarked, Bachira kicks the ball to him. Fortunately, Kyon receives the ball and scores a goal. The score is now 2-0. 30 minutes have passed in the first half of the game. Following their new tactic, the 3 forward players will be Gagamaru, Reichi, and Naruhaya. To stop Naruhaya, who has the ball, Junichi grabs Naruhaya's jersey. Because this is a foul from Team W, Team Z is given a free kick. Bachira, doing the free kick, sees his target. Instead of scoring by himself, he kicks at a height advantageous to only one player Kyon. Kyon hits the ball with his head, scoring another goal. The new score is 3-0, with Kyon scoring all of those 3 points. With 3 points in the lead, Team Z can't help but feel optimistic. In Team Z's locker room, the players exchange laughs and jokes, confident that they'll win this match. Isagi believes that the team is getting stronger. While exiting the locker room to continue their match, Isagi asks Chigiri if he still wants to give up. The second half of the game starts. Reichi has the ball. Kyon then tells Reichi to slow down and asks for the ball. Reichi says that Kyon better give it back to him later. After Kyon received the ball, Keisuke appears from Kyon's back and steals the ball. Reichi gets mad and calls Kyon an idiot. Keisuke with the ball appears in front of Aiman. Aiman believes he can handle Keisuke. However, Keisuke passes to Junichi. With Aiman focused on Keisuke, Junichi was able to score a goal and the score is now 3-1. Kyon tells his team to not panic over one score. Oddly, Kyon then kicks the ball to Isagi. The pass back, however, was short, allowing Junichi to steal it. Junichi strikes again, changing the score to 2-3. Meanwhile, Reichi shouts at Kyon for being reckless. Kyon apologizes wholeheartedly, making the others accept his mistakes. Oddly enough, Isagi saw Kyon smile cunningly after his teammates have dispersed. Isagi is left confused as to why Kyon smiled after having the opponent score twice. Unsure of what he saw, Isagi rubs off his doubt as just an imagination. The match resumes with only 15 minutes left. The scores are currently 2-3. Igagure tells the team that to win, the only thing they need to do is maintain the current score of both teams. However, just in case, they should score another goal as insurance. Team Z tries to create a breakthrough but they are unsuccessful in doing so. Meanwhile, a frustrated and distracted Isagi is easily caught off guard by Junichi. Junichi steals the ball from Isagi. Seeing Team W's excellent defense, Isagi sensed something wrong. Team W is perfectly countering Team Z's weapons. Isagi can't sense the smell of the goal at all. Isagi believes that there is a traitor among Team Z who leaked information about them. Isagi then remembers Kyoan's smile. Still hesitant to accept his guess, Isagi confronts Kyoan, asking him if he betrayed the team. Before Kyoan can answer, the twins tell Isagi that his guess hits the mark. Keisuke tells them that Kyoan shared with Team W everyone's strengths and weaknesses. It is then revealed that Kyoan met with Team W when Team Z was strategizing. As an excuse for being late for their meeting, Kyoan told his team that he took a long bath. Raichi, provoked by the sudden revelation, attempts to punch Kyoan. Because of his violent behavior, Raichi is given a yellow card. The other players are then asked to return to their specific positions to resume the game. Igagure then asks Kyoan why he betrayed the team. Kyoan calls the team stupid for believing that they could win against the opponents. Kyoan then tells his teammate that he will be Team Z's sole survivor. Unlike before, this match will now be a 12 against 10. Kyoan tells Isagi that he believes Team Z's victory and survival is unlikely. So in exchange for leaking their weapons, Team W will allow Kyoan to score 3 goals, thus making him the striker with the most goals on the team. After which, Kyoan remarks that Isagi is stupid and naive. Kyoan believes that bonds like teamwork won't work in Blue Lock. Ego is what will secure one's chance of winning and survival. Kyoan explains that his ego derives from winning from betraying others. The current score is 4-3 with Team W in the lead. Frustrated by Kyoan's sudden betrayal, Isagi vows to get his revenge. Unfortunately for Isagi, Kyoan leaked his weakness. Keisuke and Junichi guard Isagi, preventing him from passing the ball to his teammates. Since it's a 12 against 10, Team Z is at a disadvantage. Meanwhile, Junichi kicks the ball, attempting to score once more. If Team W scores another goal, Team Z would be behind by 2 points, making it more difficult for them to win. Isagi calls for Iman's help. Fortunately, Iman flicks the ball away from the net. The ball is now a loose ball with both teams chasing it. Seeing that Chigiri is near the ball, Isagi shouts Chigiri's name. Chigiri runs toward the ball. However, Keisuke catches up with Chigiri. Keisuke tells him that this day will mark the end of Chigiri's football journey. Chigiri, affected by Keisuke's words, remained glued on the floor. Raichi screams at Chigiri and tells him to defend. A flashback appears showing Chigiri, Keisuke, and Junichi's lives before entering Blue Lock. Keisuke and Junichi were apparently known as the double aces of Rijitsu Tech. Unlike Keisuke and Junichi, who are regulars, Chigiri is only a rookie. Chigiri tells the twins that he doesn't care about the twins' reputation or rank. Instead, he would much rather focus on making a name for himself. Chigiri then shows his excellent speed in football. Both Keisuke and Junichi are shocked to see how fast and precise Chigiri handles the ball. Because of Chigiri's speed, he became the school's top player soon enough. Chigiri also became famous because of his speed. He appears in some sports magazines and interviews. Chigiri replaced Keisuke and Junichi. Their coach believes that if Chigiri can pull through, the team can manage to win at the nationals. This angers the twins, seeing how they were easily ignored and discarded by their team. However, Chigiri could not care less. He believes that geniuses like himself are naturally superior. It is then revealed that Chigiri started playing football at the age of 6. Football became everything to him. He believes that given his talent, he was born to outshine others. With his legs, he can surpass anyone. With his weapon, he can become the world's best striker. Unfortunately, in the middle of a game, Chigiri suffered an injury. The doctor told him that he tore his ACL. Although the tear is not severe, injuring it again would further complicate things and stop him from playing football ever again. Because of his injury, Chigiri is now called the genius who fell at his school. He is also ridiculed by the Wanama brothers. After healing his injury, Chigiri joins the club. Afraid of complicating his injury, Chigiri plays at a much slower pace compared to before. Keisuke notices this and taunts him, suggesting that he is scared of breaking his leg if he goes too fast. On the contrary, Chigiri is not afraid of having another in his leg. Instead, he is fearful of losing football, which makes everything of him. This explains why Chigiri was looking for a reason to give up. Near to giving up, Isagi shouts at Chigiri to run, telling him and that the game is not yet over. The heated battle resumes, with the ball being stolen from one another. Successfully stealing the ball from Junichi, Kunigami and Raichi kicked the ball towards Imamura. With a score of 4-3, Team Z desperately tries to score another goal. Meanwhile, Isagi feels that they can't break through the opponent's defense. All of Team Z's weapons have been disarmed by Team W's defense. Kyo-an comes up to Isagi and tells him to give up already. With only 3 minutes left, Kyo-an tells him that they can't win. Frustrated that his teammates' weapons are not working, Isagi tries to pull through by himself. This caused a shock to Keisuke and his teammates since they believe that Isagi's only weapon is his spatial awareness. He drives the ball but fails when Junichi blocks him. Chigiri sees Isagi's reckless and extreme efforts. Isagi, however, doesn't see it that way. He believes that Team Z can still win. Iman, seeing Isagi's fighting spirit, calls his other teammates to support Isagi. Witnessing Team Z's desperate attempts, Chigiri believes that they should stop already. Keisuke ridicules them, telling them that, no matter what they do, they'll still lose. Isagi, seeing Chigiri lost in his thought, yells at him and tells him to focus on getting the ball. With Chigiri blocking the way to the goal, Isagi pushes him and shouts at him to move out of the way. This angers Chigiri. Chigiri realizes that Isagi was like him when he was younger. The young Chigiri believed that he can be the world's best striker. The young him who devoted his whole life to football. Realizing that, Chigiri asked himself why he has been so afraid and cautious all this time. Watching Isagi play so passionately, Chigiri seethes with envy and anger. Chigiri tells himself that it's enough. If he injures his legs once more, then so be it. This only means that he was not worthy. Letting go of all his fears, Chigiri will once again show the world who will be the world's best striker. Meanwhile, Isagi senses the goal of sent along Chigiri's direction. With Team Z behind by 1 point, Kunigami tells the team to score at least one more point to have a draw. Then, they can save their panic and concerns for their next match. Kunigami then tells Isagi to pass the ball to him since he can't win alone. However, Isagi believes he should not kick towards Kunigami. Instead, Isagi smells a goal coming from Chigiri and he passes to Chigiri. Isagi's pass confuses Team Z since no one is in there to receive it. Keisuke and Kyo-an laugh at Isagi for making a foolish mistake during a critical moment. On the contrary, Chigiri, running at full speed, catches up with the ball. Chigiri, passing Keisuke and Kyo-an, drives the ball towards the net. Being the fastest player in the field, no one can catch up with Chigiri and his speed. Isagi cheers for him to score. Meanwhile, Keisuke, desperate to stop Chigiri, pulls his body. However, Chigiri did not budge. Instead, he continued driving the ball. Chigiri is now just a few inches from the goalkeeper of Team W. Chigiri kicks the ball, hoping to become the world's best striker. While his legs haven't given up yet, he vows to continue following his dream. Fortunately, he successfully scored a goal. The match ends in a draw with a score of 4-4. Meanwhile, Isagi is shocked by watching Chigiri's weapon in action. The match between Team W and Team Z ends in a draw. Isagi calls Chigiri and tells him that he was incredible at the game. Chigiri then tells him that it was all Isagi's fault. Chigiri was seething while watching Isagi play so passionately. Chigiri admits to Isagi that he has been restraining himself out of fear of having another injury. Changed by the recent match, Chigiri will keep on running until his legs give up on him. Isagi then smiles at Chigiri's words and tells him that they'll fight together. Chigiri refuses, telling Isagi that he will be the world's best striker. After that, Team Z runs to Chigiri's side. Igaguri tells Chigiri that he feels relieved having a teammate with an excellent and reliable weapon. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, Kyo-an is getting kicked and stepped on by Team W. Team W believes that Kyo-an hid information about Chigiri's weapon so that Team Z could win. Although this was not the case, Team W ignores Kyo-an's explanations. Keisuke, angry at Kyo-an, shouts that he'll get his revenge at him. To prevent any more violence, Isagi and Kunigami stop Keisuke. Meanwhile, to avoid any backlash from both Team W and Team Z, Kyo-an runs and escapes the playing field. After the match, Team Z is changing in their locker room. Narahai remarks that he thought that there was no way Team Z could win since it was a 12-against-10 game. Igaguri then invites them to eat. While walking, they discuss their next match. Reichi tells them that they will challenge Team V next. The chances of winning are slim, considering that Team V has no losses yet. Gagamorao then wonders if they can beat the undefeated Team V with only 10 players. Narahaya then asks where Kyo-an is. In the 5th Stratum dining hall, Kyo-an is seen talking with 3 strangers. Apparently, Kyo-an is negotiating with the key players of Team V. just like what he did with Team W. Kwon suggests leaking information about Team Z. In turn, Kwon will be allowed to score against Team V in their next match. Meanwhile, Team Z is frustrated and angered by Kwon's second betrayal. Kwon asks the 3 players if they find his proposal interesting. However, the 3 players rejects his offer. Zentetsu, one of the 3 players, tells him that doing so would mean losing his merit as a player. Continuing his explanation, Zentetsu uses several words inaccurately grammatically. Ryo tells Zentetsu to stop acting start and calls him dumb Zentetsu. Ryo then calls Kwon spineless and lame. Nagi joins the conversation. Nagi says to them that this meeting is annoying. He tells Ryo that he wants to leave already. Ryo leaves while giving Nagi a piggyback ride. Zentetsu follows the 2. Desperate to survive the first selection, Kwon stops the 3, telling them that he has more to say. Nagi snarks at Kwon, saying that those who can't win even after doing their best are weak and are just meant to lose. Nagi suggests quitting to Kwon. Isagi, hearing Nagi's insulting words, tells him to not mock those devoted to playing football. Seeing an unfamiliar face, Ryo then asks who Isagi is. Along with his team, Isagi introduces himself and vows to win against Team V's monitoring room. The team discusses their next match. They also watch the game between Team W and Team Y. Apparently, the match between them ended in a draw thanks to Nico and the Wanama brothers. Iman informs the team of the change in their rankings. Team Z is now in the 3rd position. Team V, Team W, Team X, and Team Y is in the 1st, 2nd, 5th, and 4th position, respectively. For Team Z's next game, they will compete against the undefeated Team V. Chigiri then changes the conversation to ask about Nico's change. Looking back, the old Nico wouldn't score his own goals, but instead, pass and rely on others. Bachira suggested that someone might have inspired Nico. Isagi smiles after seeing Nico's improvement. After that, Iman shows an image of the key players of Team V. According to him, 3 players are responsible for Team V's undefeated status. The trio is Zentetsu, Ryo, and Nagi, scoring a total of 18 points. Zentetsu has 5 goals, Ryo has 6 goals, and Nagi has 7 goals, which means Nagi is Team V's top scorer. To win, Iman tells the team that they must stop the trio. At Team V's locker room, Nagi is seen playing video games. Zentetsu asks Nagi to stop skipping practice. Ryo then tells Zentetsu that Nagi will be fine even if he doesn't join the training. Zentetsu then tells Ryo that he is far too overprotective of Nagi. Ryo agrees, saying that Nagi his own gem. Few years ago, living a luxurious life, Ryo has a total assets of 705 billion yen. He is the heir to the Mikage Corporation. Growing up, Ryo was nurtured with the idea of inheriting their family business. Because of this, Ryo grew up spoiled. He basically got anything that he wanted. As a result, Ryo got bored of his luxurious life. As a teenager, Ryo grew into a fine man. He has attractive features, a sharp mind, and is talented at sports. He became popular at school and attracted a lot of people. Because of this, Ryo wanted to find and obtain his own gem, something that is difficult to have or get. While having that mindset, he stumbled upon a program showing a football game. Ever since watching it, he made it a goal to win the World Cup. Ryo informs his dad about his passion for football, but his dad flatly refused. His dad tells him that he has a business to inherit, and only those who are gifted can excel and make a profit in football. His dad implied that Ryo is not skilled enough to play football for a living. As a result, Ryo finds a way to prove his parents wrong. Studying in an elite school, Ryo, attempting to join the football club, believes that the school's team is probably tepid. Ryo walks along the corridors of the classroom while thinking of a solution. Distracted by his thoughts, he accidentally bumps Nagi's shoulder, making Nagi let go of his phone. Avoiding a crack, Nagi catches his phone with his foot. Ryo, witnessing Nagi's quick reflexes and excellent catch, is astonished by his skills. Ryo asks Nagi if he belongs to the football club. Nagi answers no. Shocked at Nagi's natural talent, Ryo invites him to play football together. Nagi agrees, but only if he is given money. Nagi agrees with Ryo's condition. Ryo's life has been filled with mundane and boring events until he met Nagi. Now, Ryo has found Nagi, his own gem. At Team Z's room, Bachira, Gajemaru, Igagiri, and Isagi plays a game of "What does the face of that Wanama bro mean?" game, but Iman scolds them, telling them that they should be focusing on their last and next game. After joking around, Imamura recommends having a tactical meeting before the game. Hearing that, Raichi remembers their former tactician and his betrayal. He comes near to Kyuan and tells him he hasn't forgiven him yet. Out of anger, Raichi strangles Kyuan. Also mad at Kyuan, Igaguri and Naruhaya ask to join in. Before things go out of control, Isagi stops Raichi. Raichi asks Isagi if he feels sorry for the strangled Kyuan. Isagi tells Raichi that the team needs Kyuan to win against Team V. Missing a player would lead to the ultimate loss of Team Z. Hearing Isagi's reasoning, Kyuan tells him that he won't cooperate in the next game. Kyuan explains that, even if Team Z is to lose against Team V, he won't be eliminated. With that in mind, Kunigami says that Kyuan's survival is still unsure. If Kunigami scored 3 more goals, it would mean that he scored a total of 4 goals, making him the top scorer. Kyuan laughs at Kunigami. With an 11 against 10, Kyuan believes that Kunigami or anyone from Team Z cannot score. Kunigami says to Kyuan that he'll do it. Kyuan tells Kunigami that he knows very well that football can't be played alone. Kunigami asks what he means by that. Kyuan answers that he too wanted to win the World Cup with his skills. However, one by one, his teammates started giving up on him and on football. Every one of them believed that the World Cup was too high to dream of. Because of this, Kyuan is willing to betray his teammates just to survive in Blue Lock. Bachira, on the other hand, asks the team what will happen if the top strikers are tied. Chigiri answers, saying that the player with the least yellow cards will advance. Bachira then asks what if they're also tied in that aspect. Ego then appears on the screen. He answers Bachira's question. Ego tells them that the winner would be decided based on their standing in the Blue Lock ranking. Ego then shows the updated rankings. The player with the highest rank in Team Z is Kyuan, followed by Chigiri, Isagi, Kunigami, Gagamaru, Bachira, Iman, Raichi, Imamura, Naruhaya, and Igarashi. Raichi furiously asks why a traitor has the highest rank. Ego tells him that the rankings only depends on the number of goals scored, regardless of the player's means of scoring. However, Ego considers Kyuan as a striker, the filthiest scum in all of this facility. Ego believes that to survive in Blue Lock, Team Z must focus on finding the formula to produce and create as many goals, instead of betraying one another. Ego tells Team Z to understand every key concept of a goal. If they can do so, repeating goals after the other will be made possible. Ego believes that every world-class striker possesses their own unique formula to score goals. Team Z, who has been relying on sheer luck to survive, must find a formula to claim victory as a logical consequence. Ego then disappears from the TV screen. After that, Raichi tells Kyuan to not participate in their next game. Raichi threatens him, saying that if he moves, he'll be in a wheelchair the following day. Team Z has exactly a day before their next match. Isagi, still unsure of his weapon, runs to Team X's training field. At Team X's training room, Isagi meets with Barou. Isagi asks Barou to help him become more like him, a striker who can score a lot of goals. Barou laughs at Isagi, telling Isagi that he is not skilled enough. Isagi then says to Barou that he is the greatest player he has met here in Blue Lock. Isagi adds that, like Barou, he wants to be someone who can survive in Blue Lock with his talents alone. Barou consents to Isagi's, agreeing only to show their difference in skills. Isagi is shocked by the sudden one-on-one match with Barou. Caught unprepared, Isagi is unable to move and is glued on the floor. Isagi tries to find the right timing to counter Barou. However, without changing his location, Barou kicks the ball and scores a goal. Isagi is shocked by Barou's long shooting range and accuracy. Barou gets bored of Isagi and tells him to leave. Isagi then asks Barou for one more try. Barou, resuming their one-on-one match, says that he is the one true king. Finding Isagi's constant remarks annoying, Barou decides to show Isagi how great he is at football. Believing that he understood Barou's shooting range, Isagi guessed that he got Barou trapped. Barou then tells Isagi that he is mistaken. Contrasting Isagi's hypothesis, Barou's shooting range is 27 meters, not 23 meters. Hearing that, Isagi wonders if he were to polish his skills and weapons, would he be able to play like Barou someday? Their match ended with Barou telling him that he is the one true king. Back at Team Z's room, Isagi tries to understand the methodology behind Barou's formula in scoring a goal. With this in mind, Isagi wonders how he can use his own strengths and weapons to create his unique formula. Unable to find the answer, Isagi ignores the formula and says that he'll figure it out during their next game. Isagi then notices that his hand is shaking. Isagi remembers that if they lose to the undefeated Team V, his football dreams will come to a close. Isagi cries, fearing the end of his football career. Igaguri, nervous like Isagi, asks him for reassurance. Igaguri tells Isagi that he's so afraid of their next match that he can't go to sleep. Isagi, seeing the shaking Igaguri, tries to calm him down. Isagi tells Igaguri that being afraid of losing can make them stronger. Calming a bit, Igaguri declares to Isagi that Team Z will win no matter what. The last game for the first selection begins. Before the match, Iman announces their strategy to the team. Iman states that Kunigami, Gagamaru, Chigiri will be their key players since they're the team's best strikers. Everyone from the team agrees and prepares for their upcoming match. Meanwhile, trying to calm himself, Igaguri believes that Team V will play softer since they've already qualified for the next round. The team then exits the locker room and enters the playing field. Bachira calms down Isagi, who is fearing the end of his football career. Bachira then tells him that all they have to do is give it their best. Isagi then calms down a bit. A few seconds later, Team V enters the playing field. The round starts with Ryo with the ball. Isagi believes that he has a good grasp of Team V's weapons after watching clips of their games. Watching Ryo play, Isagi considered Ryo good at dribbling. Because of this, he believes he can't handle Ryo alone, so he asks for Bachira's help to steal the ball. Marked by 2 players, Ryo passes the ball to Zentetsu to avoid it from being stolen by Team Z. Isagi predicts that Zentetsu will pass since his field of vision is blocked by Naruhaya and Raichi. Isagi's guess was correct. Zentetsu passes the ball towards Nagi. Because Team Z spent time analyzing Team V's patterns, they were able to predict their movements. So knowing that Zentetsu would pass to Nagi, Igaguri stops the ball before Nagi can receive it. Igaguri passes the ball Isagi, who then passes the ball to Bachira then to Gagamaru. Gagamaru tries to score a goal with his head, but the ball missed. Seeing this, Isagi believes that their current strategy will work against Team V. Witnessing Team Z's passionate play, Ryo tells Nagi to do it. Out of nowhere, Ryo kicks the ball, making the ball spin quickly. Seeing Ryo's intense kick, Isagi believes that Nagi won't be able to trap the ball and stop it from moving. However, Nagi trapped the ball effortlessly. After stopping the ball's momentum, Nagi kicks th ball and scoring a goal. Seeing this, Isagi describes Nagi as a monster. Team V takes the lead. Nagi wants to play hooky now, but Ryo states he can do after he scores 5 more goals. Seeing the goal Nagi scored, the high-level technique and control he showcased, Isagi feels they are against a monster. Team Z tries to shake it off and start an attack. Kunigami tries getting in his range for shooting, but Ryo steals the ball guessing he couldn't reach his shooting range. Kunigami attempts to retake the ball, but Ryo protects it and then gives another long pass to Nagi. However, this time instead of completely controlling and stopping the ball, Nagi taps it and then does a bicycle kick, scoring his second goal in the game. Raichi starts blaming Kunigami for losing the ball, but Isagi stops them, because if they lose the game, they are all out and need to give their best to win. Starting from the center again, Isagi attempts to use their last weapon Chigiri. He gives him a long pass and Chigiri chases it, but is surprised to see Tsurugi catching up to his speed and even taking the ball before him. Tsurugi gives the ball to Ryo. Isagi states he will pass to Nagi again. Naruhaya decides to join Igarashi and Raichi to help protect Nagi, but seeing this Ryo then gives the ball to Tsurugi. As too many people protect Nagi, Tsurugi has more free ground and easily takes a shot, increasing their lead to 3-0. With 3 goals, Isagi believes that no one in their team believes in the victory anymore. However, Bachira gets excited and finds their trio to be amazing. Isagi states it's 3-0 already, but Bachira, giving him a serious look, asks Isagi if he is scared. Bachira notes that their goals were special, but the solution is easy. They need to be super special. Starting with the ball, Bachira states that if their weapons and formulas didn't work, if they manage to score now, it will mean they have surpassed their limits. The monster inside Bachira tells him that when they are in a desperate situation, they should be excited and not scared. Bachira faces Ryo and uses ultra-fast stepovers, followed by a roulette spin to bypass Ryo. Tsurugi immediately catches to Bachira, who then does a lob, lifting the ball in the air. As he catches it again with his leg, he changes its trajectory to the right, but quickly changes it again to the left, doing an air elastico, surprising Tsurugi with the feint and passing him too. Bachira then faces 3 more people from Team V. noting that if he can't pass them, he isn't on the level of being the best striker. Isagi is surprised to see how happy Bachira looks, but notes that he is right and he should enjoy the game if it's going to be his last serious game in his career. Bachira manages to pass the three guys and facing the goalkeeper. He kicks the ball and scores a goal. Team C is excited and Igarashi feels he can break his limit too. Kunigami congratulates Bachira, but states that surpassing limits isn't just being reckless. In Bachira's case, the goal was born due to his weapon dribbling. He explains that the limit means their formula, which in this game doesn't work, so they need to find new ones in order to score. Bachira confirms, stating that he tried all this because he was inspired. Kunigami states they need to try new things in this game and evolve, or they will lose. As the game continues, Isagi tells Raichi to cover Ryo as with his physique, they can pincer him. Isagi then tells Chigiri and Gagamaru to cover the space that opens up. He explains that they need to stop Ryo before he sets up Nagi. Raichi is annoyed, but agrees. Having no choice, Ryo then passes to Tsurugi and Chigiri starts chasing him. Tsurugi outruns Chigiri, but Chigiri manages to keep up and touch the ball as Tsurugi passes and change its trajectory. Nagi still manages to get the ball and takes a shot from outside the penalty area, but it hits Igarashi's face. From Igarashi's face, the ball reaches Bachira. Ryo faces him, stating he won't pass him again. Bachira confirms it, but states he isn't alone now. Bachira then passes to Kunigami, who attempts to get into his 28-meter range. As people start pressuring him, he starts wondering what to do as he usually doesn't score from outside the 28 meters. Isagi yells at him to not be scared and go for it. Kunigami manages to free himself and noting that he needs to evolve, he goes for a full-power technical shot. The shot is directly at the middle of the goal and the goalkeeper wonders if he should punch it. However, the ball starts wobbling and slightly changes its trajectory and goes past the goalkeeper, making the results 3-2. At the halftime, Team C is in good mood. Kunigami explains that he focused on how he made contact with the ball more than usual, and felt like he experienced a new sensation for scoring. Isagi wonders what he can do and that if this is his last game, he wants to try a new version of himself. At the same time, Ryo states they need to change their own tactics in response to Team Z changing their tactic. The second half starts. Kunigami notices that Team V starts to press him quicker. As it's reckless for him to take even longer shots, he passes to Bachira, who then passes to Gagamaru, who feels he is a bit ahead of the ball, but still decides to shoot and takes a scorpion kick. The ball heads to the right corner, but Tsurugi returns to the goal and deflects it. The ball reaches Isagi, who sees a chance to shoot from 23 meters, but gets quickly blocked. As he wonders how he can shoot, a second players come and takes the ball from him. Isagi starts wondering what he could have done and what he needs to do to evolve himself. In that moment Nagi tells him he is totally useless. He was full of himself, but didn't take the shot and is so inefficient. Nagi wonders why is he still trying and not giving up. As if his talent was at Isagi's level, he would have quit football by now. Nagi asks Isagi what motivates him that much, calling him a genius. Isagi tells him to shut up as he is about to get to the good part. Unri notes that the game turned out as Ego predicted. Ego confirms the game is intense and every time the line is crossed between life or death, win or lose, and his striker is forced to awaken. Ego asks her if she knows what it means to awaken. Unri guesses it's like going from ordinary to extraordinary, but Ego states she is way off. Ego states awakening is like doing a jigsaw puzzle, facing an extreme situation to win, and after much trial and error, it's when the pieces for success all fall into place, and a new ego blooms. In short, it's the moment you learn who you really are. Isagi realizes he is inefficient like Nagi stated. While he was thinking on what to do, that gave the opponents a chance to block his shot. With his special awareness, he can get into a good position for a shot, but if he doesn't shoot, nothing will happen. Raichi keeps pressuring Ryo, which annoys him. Raichi states that Ryo is indeed good, but he sees how to stop him as he always first looks for Nagi. Igarashi also annoys Nagi, telling him that he can't do anything unless Ryo tells him to. Raichi adds to it that without Nagi, Ryo is just a master of none. Ryo gets angry and hits Raichi with his elbow. The whistle then blows and Ryo is given a yellow card. Raichi passes to Chigiri and Tsurugi faces him. Chigiri tries going past him, but seeing his acceleration, he figures he won't be able to outrun him no matter how much he tries. Recalling that he touched Tsurugi's pass before that, Chigiri realizes that he needs to create a situation where he can utilize his weapon. Chigiri then hits the ball towards an empty area. Tsurugi states that there is no one there, but Chigiri tells him he is passing to himself. Tsurugi then immediately catches up to Chigiri, noting that he is faster. Chigiri confirms it, but adds it's only initially. Chigiri knows that he can't beat him in a 10 meters range, but on a longer run, he will outrun him. Chigiri reaches the ball first and takes a shot, scoring the goal and equalizing the game with 3-3. With 30 minutes remaining, Ego states that the best striker in the world is the one that can dominate this blue frenzy.
The score is 3-3. Kuon is shocked and confused about how Team Z caught up with the undefeated Team V. He wonders how Team Z can fight against Team V with only 10 players. He then screams at Team V, telling them to stop messing around. He then says that Team V should be embarrassed to have a difficult time against only 10 players. Ryo then calls Kuon trash and tells him to shut up. The game resumes. Ryo has the ball. While dribbling the ball, Ryo vows that he won't lose. Ryo remarks that he is not his family's toys. Ryo then says that he won't be satisfied with people giving him anything he wants. He wants to be able to get the things he wants with his own hands. Reichi then appears in front of Ryo. Nagi easily passes through Igaguri and kicks the ball towards Zentetsu. Zentetsu gets the ball, avoiding another goal from Team V. Zentetsu passes the ball to Nagi. Apparently, Nagi experienced an awakening. After scoring, Nagi tells Ryo that football is quite fun. The score is now 4-3, with Team V in the lead. Team V is ecstatic to be in the lead again. Meanwhile, Team Z is unhappy with Nagi's goal. Igaguri is shaking, knowing that their team is behind. Isagi believes that they made a grave mistake during the match. Team Z has awakened Nagi's slumbering potential. With only 15 minutes left, Team Z is near to having a nervous breakdown. Gaga Maru says that if nothing will be done, Team Z will lose. Kunigami then asks what they can do to stop Nagi. Chigiri says that they can't predict Nagi's movements anymore. Hearing Team Z struggling to find a solution, Reichi yells, telling them that they should attack. Reichi threatens them, saying that if all his efforts are wasted, he will kill them. Reichi remarks that, as strikers, Team Z should be able to fight back. Meanwhile, in Team V's locker room, Ryo tells Nagi to score one more point to win. The game resumes. Bachira with the ball, kicks towards Chigiri. Zentetsu catches up with Chigiri and tries to steal the ball from him. Chigiri notes that Zentetsu's initial velocity is greater than his, however, Chigiri's top speed is quicker than Zentetsu's. Before Chigiri and Zentetsu reach the ball, Nagi appears in front of them. Nagi tells Chigiri that he'll be taking the ball from him. Surprisingly, Isagi appears in front of Nagi, calling him naive. Isagi blocks Nagi, stopping Nagi from retrieving the ball. Then, Chigiri retrieves the ball while Zentetsu tries to catch up. Ryo calls his teammates, telling them to stop Chigiri. A player from Team V says that Chigiri won't be able to score since he is outnumbered. Chigiri proves them wrong, however. He also points out the gap in Team V's defense. Chigiri kicks the ball, but he hits the pole and misses. Fortunately, Gaga Maru rebounded the ball. Ryo supports their goalkeeper and stops Gaga Maru's kick. Luckily, Kunigami retrieved the ball. In his shooting range, Kunigami kicks the ball, scoring a goal. Isagi then notes that what happened was how he imagined it exactly. The score is now 4-4. Understanding his weapons a bit, Isagi believes that he can use his eyes to see the field's future. A young Kuon shows his schoolmates their football club registration. Now that Kuon and his friends have 11 players, the school allowed them to create their own football club. With that, Kuon and his clubmates are ecstatic. Kuon remarks that with a little push, they can win at the nationals. One of his clubmates laughs at him and tells him that his dream is too high to reach. However, Kuon says that if they want to play football, they should at least aim at being professionals. The football club wins the game after another. However, during matches, some won't get to their proper places. After losing, Kuon asks the team don't they want to win and go to the nationals. His clubmates laugh at him, saying that Kuon's taking football too seriously. Kuon is shocked to hear that, noting that they share the same dream of going to the nationals before. His clubmates then said that a feeble team like them cannot compete with the other teams that made it to nationals. His clubmates then say that Kuon is too much, making playing football with him no fun. Kuon realizes that, among all of his clubmates, he was the only one seriously playing football. He goes home and sees an envelope at the table. Kuon opens the envelope and sees that it was a letter addressed to him. The letter was an invitation for a player improvement project called Blue Lock. With a new resolve, Kuon vows to win even if he has to do it alone. With only 5 minutes left, the score is 4-4. Kuon is in awe of Team Z, managing to catch up with Team V even though they are at a disadvantage. With only 10 players, Team Z is one by one improving their football. However, because of Nagi's sudden awakening, Team Z is struggling to score one more goal. Right now, both Kuon and Kunigami have scored 3 goals with no fouls. On the other hand, Kuon is currently the top So, if Kuon just stays in his place doing nothing, he'll be able to survive blue lock. Meanwhile, Zentetsu has the ball. Zentetsu passes to Nagi. Isagi runs toward Nagi, trying to stop him from scoring. Nagi traps the ball with his back. This shocks Isagi, making him unable to react sooner. Isagi remarks that Nagi's skill is out of this world. In an instant, Nagi has left Isagi. Nagi runs until he is in front of Iemen. Team Z desperately yells at Iemen to stop the ball, or everything they've worked hard for will be destroyed. Team Z is shocked. The speaker, Isagi, is shocked at Kuon and asked him why he did that. Kuon answers, saying that by stopping Nagi, Team Z can still fight. There's only a minute left in the match. Ryo runs toward Nagi, asking him if he was fine. Ryo yells at Kuon. Nagi tells Ryo that he's okay. Zentetsu then calms down Ryo, saying that if Ryo gets another yellow card, he'll be out of the game. Ryo reluctantly agrees and asks what kind of malicious tactic Team Z has. Kunigami tells Ryo that he also didn't understand why Kuon did it. Kuon says that he just did what he had to do. Igaguri then tells Kuon that, because of what he did, Kunigami is the top striker. If the match ended in a draw, Kuon will be eliminated. Kuon still has a chance to become the best striker in the world. The game resumes. 3 minutes are given as extra time. Some players from Team V asks Ryo how their defense should be. One player recommends stalling since, even though they don't win this match, Team V will survive the first selection. Ryo disagrees and tells him that all they have to do is to destroy Team Z. The game resumes with the free kick. Team V's free kick kicker is Ryo. Behind the scenes, everyone knows that if Kuon didn't do that, Team Z would have lost already. Team Z desperately tries to stop Ryo from scoring. Iemen wonders what Ryo will do. Will Ryo pass to Nagi or Zentetsu? But Iemen believes that as an egoistic striker, Ryo will prefer to score by his skills alone. Iemen's guess was correct, allowing him to stop the ball from hitting the net. Now the ball is loose. Both Team V and Team Z tries to retrieve it. The fastest player from both teams, Chigiri and Zentetsu, race for the ball. However, Zentetsu is nearer. Zentetsu kicks the ball but is stopped by Reichi. The ball is sent flying. Nagi picks it up, hoping to score another goal. Reichi, Igaguri, and Iemen try to block the ball's course. Nagi's kick passes the 3 players. Fortunately, Gagamaru stops the ball, and gives ball to Isagi. Isagi believes that this is his last chance.
Isagi has the ball, and notes that he can see the field's future. He says that he knows who among Team Z can keep the ball rolling and running. It is revealed that Isagi is referring to Bachira, Kunigami, and Chigiri. Isagi says that the goal sent is coming from those 3 players. Ryo appears in front of Isagi, telling him that he'll put a stop to Isagi. Isagi believes that, for the last play, he'll be the one to score. Isagi will see through it that he'll be the one to kick the finishing goal, before Ryo can steal the ball from Isagi. Isagi passes the ball to Bachira. With his dribbling skills, Bachira cuts through the enemy line. While doing so, players from Team V catches up with Bachira, desperate to stop him. Team V will even resort to fouling just to end Bachira's dribbling. Before Bachira is tackled by a player from Team V, he passes the ball back to Isagi. Isagi sees Chigiri and kicks the ball toward him. With his immense speed, Chigiri runs through the field. To stop Chigiri, Team V tries to outnumber him. To avoid the ball from being stolen, Chigiri passes it back to Isagi. Chigiri believes that they can score using a 1-2. Chigiri runs past the 2 players from Team V and waits for Isagi to pass the ball back. However, Isagi did not kick the ball back to Chigiri. Chigiri then realized that Isagi used him as a decoy. Isagi was planning to shoot by himself. While dribbling, Isagi notes that everything he predicted happened. Isagi remarks that he'll be able to score if he gets 45 meters closer to the goal. Meanwhile, Kuon was watching the match. Kuon says that he did not commit a foul to help Team Z. He felt that, instead of winning by doing nothing, there was something more important he needed to realize. When Kuon looks at Team Z's fighting spirit, he declares that he won't let himself become a person who'll just stand by and watch. After that, Kyogi passes the ball to Kunigami. Suddenly, Zentetsu appears in between them. Zentetsu kicks the ball, making Kunigami lose the ball. Zentetsu tells Kunigami that he won't let him do his mid-shot. The ball is now loose, with both teams desperate to retrieve it. Reichi runs toward the ball and picks it up. Reichi passes to Bachira. Meanwhile, Isagi remarks that he can see it, the field's movements. He can predict how Chigiri and Kunigami will move. Isagi finds the spot where he can make his goal, 19 meters to and from the left of the goal. Isagi runs toward that unmarked spot. If Isagi manages to get there, Isagi will have a 1-1 with the goalkeeper. Bachira sees Isagi asking for the ball. Bachira says that he believes in Isagi, telling him that this is their last chance. Just as how Isagi predicted, the ball is going toward him. Before Isagi can trap the ball, Nagi appears in front of him. Suddenly, Isagi's goal scent disappeared. With Nagi's sudden appearance, Isagi's goal scent disappeared. Isagi can't believe it. All he had to do was follow his goal scent and shoot the ball. Isagi frustratedly asks why Nagi was there, right in front of him. Nagi says to Isagi that he is the biggest threat on the field right now. Isagi does not know what to do. The ball is slowly going down, reaching both Isagi and Nagi. Isagi runs toward the empty patch before Nagi can get it. While running, Isagi remarks that he will have to outdo Nagi's trapping skills. Because of this, Isagi loses confidence. Isagi cannot do those outrageous traps that Nagi can do. Isagi believes that Team Z's victory is now impossible. He can't picture the goal anymore. He can't see the future where they win anymore. Isagi, in his mind, concedes defeat. Meanwhile, Chigiri yells at Isagi to call his attention. Kunigami then tells Isagi to pass to him. However, Isagi does not want to. Isagi wants to score his own goal. Isagi then remembers himself scoring his own goal in the previous matches. Isagi then remembers Ego's lesson about the formula to produce goals. Isagi believes that the missing puzzle piece is Isagi's trap piece. However, Isagi will automatically lose to Nagi since he is just a regular player when it comes to trapping. With that in mind, Isagi rejects the idea of trapping the ball. Isagi then realizes that the final piece to complete his goal, his missing puzzle piece, was through a one-touch shot. Isagi believes that his formula to score goals is through utilizing his spatial awareness and direct shot. Isagi does a direct shot. The goalkeeper of Team V failed to stop it, thus earning Team Z another point. The score is now 4-5, with Team Z in the lead. At this moment, Isagi has awakened. On the other side, Zentetsu and Ryo cannot believe what happened. Ryo cannot accept the fact that he lost. Nagi then tells Ryo that they still have time. If they can score 2 more goals, they can win against Team Z. However, after Nagi said that, the buzzer rang to signalize the end of the match. The game ended in the victory of Team Z. After losing, Nagi tells Ryo that it feels frustrating to do his best but still lose. On the other side, Kyon watches Team Z rejoicing after their win against Team V. Kunigami calls Kyon and tells him to join them. Kyon rejects his offer and tells him that it's fine. Kunigami tries inviting him again, however, Reichi tells him to stop. Reichi says to Kunigami that no one can erase the betrayal that Kyon did. Plus, Reichi notes that he hasn't forgiven Kyon yet. Nonetheless, Reichi believes that thanks to Kyon grabbing Nagi's head, Team Z didn't lose. This shocks everyone in Team Z. Reichi then says that he hates Kyon, but he'll move past his betrayal with a punch. Igaguri, Imamura, and Aiman agreed with Reichi. After that, Kunigami helps the fallen Kyon stand. Kunigami invites Kyon to celebrate together. Kyon then apologizes to Kunigami. Subsequently, the buzzer rang, announcing the results of the first selection. With the end of the first selection, Team V and Team Z survived. Plus, the top strikers of Team W, Team X, and Team Y will also advance. Junichi Wanama with 6 goals, Nico with 4 goals, and Barou with 10 goals are the top strikers. At Team Z's room, they celebrate their win against Team V and their survival in the first selection. Kyon asks if someone can get some drinks. Bachira and Isagi volunteers. At the 5th Stratum dining hall, Bachira and Isagi pick up the water bottles. Isagi then thanks Bachira for passing to him. Bachira then says that he doesn't need to thank him. Bachira notes that Isagi was able to score because Isagi agrees in an unsure manner. Isagi thinks that he was able to understand a bit more about his weapon in the previous match. Isagi realizes that he can predict future events on the field with his spatial awareness. Besides, Isagi noticed that all of his goals had been a one-touch shot. Now that he understands his skills, Isagi believes that he can now create his formula. Isagi feels like he's one step closer to becoming the world's best striker. Then, Isagi notices Bachira staring at him. Isagi felt embarrassed after saying too much. However, Bachira laughs it off and tells him he's slowly improving his ego and confidence. Bachira jokingly repeats the words ego in a chanting manner. Bachira says to Isagi that he makes things interesting. Bachira then gives Isagi a high five. After that, Bachira gives Isagi a fake-out chop. While laughing, Bachira and Isagi notice some players walking outside. All of them were crying. Isagi realized that they were all evicted players from the losing team. Meanwhile, Nico appears in front of Bachira and Isagi. Nico explains to Isagi that he realized something during their match. After seeing Isagi score, Nico changed his play. Nico started making goals for himself. Nico tells Isagi that Nico's still in blue lock thanks to Isagi's goal that day. Nico then declares to Isagi that he won't lose next time. Isagi then says to Nico that the reason Isagi survived the first selection was thanks to Nico. Isagi accepts Nico's challenge and tells Nico that he'll win next time too. Bachira then jokes and says the Isagi is quite popular, bringing the drinks that Kyon requested. Bachira and Isagi enter Team Z's room. Upon entering, they see their teammates sleeping on the floor. Everyone was exhausted after playing and celebrating. Next, Team Z will have to face the upcoming challenges. Survivors of the first selection prepare for their following trials up ahead. Meanwhile, at Team Z's room, Reichi screams furiously at the monitor. Frustrated, he demands Ego to clarify why the second selection will not start immediately. Ego replies, saying that it will take time before the next trial to begin. To compensate for the waiting period, the players would instead undergo extensive physical training. During the said training, players will not be allowed to handle the ball, no matter the reason. Shortly after, Aimin and Igiguri join Reichi's complaints. Annoyed, Ego tells Team Z to not get too arrogant. Ego reminds them that their team is the lowest among the whole facility. Also, he notes that the training will only stop until he tells them to do so. Several hours later, the hellish physical training started. Their program consists of 2-hour endurance training, extreme trunk training, weight training, and sprinting. After the sprinting exercises, players are allowed to rest during their dinner time. Nonetheless, most players, like Isagi and Naruhaya, find themselves too exhausted to even eat. 3 days passed. With the hellish training still ongoing, players of Team Z were pushing their body's limits every single day. As a result, some players were vomiting because of extreme fatigue. Luckily, after 10 gruesome days, Ego announced that the first selection has been completed in all of Blue Lock strata. Ego then instructs the remaining players, those who survived the first selection, to put on their training suits and proceed to their corresponding stratum's basement. After hearing the announcement, Team Z is ecstatic. Their hellish training is now over, and they are now one step closer to becoming the world's best striker. He then greets his so-called unpolished gems and congratulates them for working hard during their previous training. Afterward, Ego declares that not a single player in the basement came from the first, second, third, or fourth stratum. He reveals that none of those strata existed in the first place. Instead, there were 5 strata considered as the fifth stratum. Ego explains that he did this to make the players believe that they were among the worst in the facility. By doing so, all of the players fought painstakingly to prove their worth. After Ego's revelation, some of the players were displeased. A player shouted furiously at Ego because of his dishonesty and betrayal. Ego remarks that by misleading the players, he was able to shred the players' soft hearts and confidence. By doing such, he was also able to nurture a goal-hungry mindset so that they might have the potential to become the world's best striker. He comments that Blue Lock was created for the sole purpose of cultivating players who starve for goals. Following this, Ego announces the start of the second selection. The start of the second selection commences. Ego remarks that the players have grown from level 0 to 1 after the first selection. Now, by utilizing the state-of-the-art training facilities, the players will be able to advance from level 1 to 100. Ego then explains that the second selection will have 5 stages. Only those who have cleared all stages are allowed to pass the second selection. Moreover, Ego reveals that those who clear the second selection will have the hourly after. Ego ends his announcement and tells the players that everything is up for them to decide. Only those who have mentally prepared themselves are allowed to enter the gate to the second selection. Also, players must enter individually, separating themselves from their teammates during the first selection. After the screen went off, most of the players looked around the room. The majority were reluctant to try the first stage. Nonetheless, an unfamiliar player went and picked up 2 balls. He kicked the first ball, allowing the ball to move in a tall yet gentle curve. Soon after, he kicked the second ball. However, unlike the first ball, this created a low curved shot. Surprisingly, both balls hit each other halfway. Isagi is left shocked and bewildered after witnessing the stranger's skills. Isagi wonders who that player is. Meanwhile, the unknown player walks up in front of the gate to the second selection. He instructs the gate to be opened, noting that he has finished warming up. After the unknown player enters the gate to the second selection, his name flashes. Apparently, his name is Ren Itoshi. After hearing Rin's last name, Igaguri wonders if he was the Itoshi that is considered one of the top 11 in the world of the new generation. However, Imamura tells Igaguri that he is mistaken and that the Itoshi he may be referring to is Isai Itoshi. Because of this, Igaguri wonders who Ren Itoshi could be. Thus, Rin became the first player to clear the first stage of the second selection. Meanwhile, Igaguri doubts his place in the Blue Lock facility. After seeing Rin's display of talent, Igaguri notes that he is still halfway compared to him. Because of this, other members of Team Z also doubted themselves. Nonetheless, Isagi moves forward. Isagi remarks that he wants to become. Isagi enters the small arena. Suddenly, one of the panels opens, revealing a ball. Isagi receives the ball. However, he is still confused about the current situation. Surprisingly, an unknown hologram appears in front of him. Isagi sees this and wonders what lies ahead in the first stage of the second selection. Isagi stands in the center of the square room. He stares at the hologram in front of him, wondering what its purpose is. Suddenly, the panels behind the holograms reflect a goal net. He then notices that the image on the ground is moving. Its area is gradually decreasing. Soon after, Isagi realizes the situation. Apparently, inside this square room is a simulation of a soccer game. To be precise, the situation simulated is a player who is right in front of the goalkeeper, and without moving an inch beyond the image projected on the ground, he must be able to score a goal after the other. After assessing the situation, Isagi attempts to score a goal. However, the hologram suddenly moved and stopped the ball from hitting the net. Isagi is shocked to see the hologram stop the ball. As remarked by Isagi, after a while, Isagi looks up in the square room. There he notices a screen with a timer. Written on a screen is the number of goals he has to clear and the time he has left. During this moment, he needs to score 100 goals in less than 90 minutes to clear the first stage. With that said, the first stage is a test to evaluate the player's ego during solo fights, particularly when in front of the goal. Likewise, this stage emphasizes the necessity for a powerful weapon. For Isagi to clear the first stage, he must pass by his relying on his skills alone. Shortly after, a panel from the square room opens. This signaled an incoming ball. In an instant, Isagi assesses the ball's trajectory and speed. Without making unnecessary movements, he runs towards the spot where he predicted the ball will stop. As the ball approaches his reach, he exerts power in his kick, creating a direct shoot. Several minutes passed, and Isagi has already cleared 30 goals. With only 72.5 minutes left, Isagi still needs to score 70 more goals. Surprisingly, several holograms suddenly appeared, making scoring much more difficult. The increase in holograms simulates a situation where there would be several defenders. In a sense, an actual soccer game actually has several defenders. Once more, Isagi tries to look around and assess his surroundings. He attempts another direct kick but fails. According to him, the addition of defenders made the difficulty level grow exponentially. Meanwhile, Henri and Ego are seen watching the first stage through a monitoring system. Ego explains to Henri how the blue Lockman works. Apparently, there is a microsensor chip inserted in the balls. This chip creates a physical reaction once the hologram sense that contact was done. Ego coins this as holographic sports technology. After Ego's explanation, Henri reminds Ego that they do not have any more funds left. Ego then tells Henri to shut up. Ego proceeds and says that the first stage will serve as a test for all the players who survived the first selection. Unlike the first stage, where the players could rely on their skilled and strong teammates, the first stage required players to exhibit their individual skills and prove their worth in the facility. For those who relied on their teammates throughout the first selection, the first stage will be a struggle for them. Nonetheless, those who can turn their 0 to a 1 will use the first stage as an opportunity for them to cultivate their talent and improve it. They will use this stage to grow as strikers that will reach the next dimension. Back at Isagi's squared room, Isagi declared that he will evolve at this moment. The second level of the first stage in the second selection starts. Isagi tries to assess his surroundings. By observing the holograms and ball, he has a chance of scoring a goal. Isagi, conscious of the things around him, kicks the ball. Fortunately, he scores a goal. After this goal, Isagi believes that he can clear this round. The screen in the room notes that he has only 48 minutes and 20 seconds to clear 52 goals. Meanwhile, Henri and Ego are watching the players' progress in the monitoring room. Henri says that the kids are progressively improving. She also says that the design training was impressive. Ego tells her to not get too impressed. Ego states that the first part of the stage has just started. Back at Isagi, he has cleared 12 goals in just 6 minutes and 6 seconds. Now, he only needs to score 40 goals. Suddenly, the speaker rings and the screen changes from the second level to the max level. After this, the defending targets start to move. Likewise, the ball that Isagi receives is unspinning slow balls. As a result, Isagi found it harder to score a goal. At the monitoring room, Ego tells Henri that the maximum level practices high-level passes. These passes are harder for the players to adjust to since they move at random directions and speed. Ego states that these passes are perfect for creating a world-class situation of being in front of the goal. Ego notes that players must possess shooting precision, increased stamina, and mindful awareness. Ego says that players who do not have these skills won't be able to clear this stage. Back at Isagi, he finds himself struggling as he has not scored a goal yet. Shortly after, Isagi realizes that he was struggling because he was used to receiving good passes. Bachira would always pass easy-to-receive balls to him, unlike the messy balls being thrown at him in the simulation. Likewise, Kunigami would help Isagi score goals by acting as a wall to block the opponents. Similarly, Chigiri would always be on the other side, waiting for Isagi's pass if he ever had a hard time. Because of these three, Isagi was able to score in games. Isagi realizes that he never fought on his own. After knowing this, Isagi remarks that he can't keep on relying on others. Isagi declares that he wants to be able to fight with his talents alone. By focusing on his new motivation, Isagi attempts to improve his skills. In a swift moment, Isagi observes his surrounding. He analyzes the position of the targets and goalkeeper. Soon after, Isagi rushes toward the shooting spot. He then locates the ball's trajectory and its spin. After grasping all of these, Isagi kicks the ball, hoping to score a goal. Unfortunately, the goalkeeper hits the ball, preventing Isagi from clearing a goal. Isagi notes that he failed to shoot because the ball did not follow the same course that he envisioned. Although Isagi assessed his surroundings, he still finds it difficult to direct the ball's course and score a goal. Isagi states that he must be able to shoot accurately if he wants to clear this stage. Once more, Isagi tries to score a goal. The ball comes in front of him, and Isagi kicks the ball in its impact point. With such great speed, the goalkeeper was unable to stop the ball from hitting the net. After this one goal, Isagi realizes his formula to constantly score goals. By combining his spatial grasping ability with his direct shoot in the impact point, he can score a goal by himself. Isagi then remarks that he is learning new things about himself. Meanwhile, Unri tells Ego that Isagi is rapidly getting better. Ego then notes that human creatures behave in ways that they deem preferable. Ego says that Isagi must be shaking at his evolution right now. At Isagi's room, the speaker rings, and the screen shows 0 goals. Thus Isagi successfully completes the first stage of the second selection. After clearing the first stage, Isagi walks towards the waiting room for the next stage. In the waiting room, the screen on top notes that players must move forward in teams of 3. Isagi looks around the room filled with unfamiliar faces. He notices the instruction on the screen and wonders what they will do in the next stage. While looking around the room, Isagi sees Nagi and Ryo's faces. Isagi deduced that Nagi and Ryo may have stayed in the waiting room since they were waiting for Zentetsu. Soon after, a voice calls out Isagi's name. Apparently, Bachira had just finished the first stage of the second selection. Bachira then asks Isagi who will take the last spot in their 3-man team. Isagi gets confused, asking Bachira what he meant. Bachira explained, saying that there's him and Isagi. Now they only have one more slot. In his mind, Isagi is shocked that Bachira automatically grouped themselves together. However, Isagi does not mind. After that, Isagi suggests to Bachira that Kunigami or Chigiri can be the third person in their team. Bachira agrees. However, he also asks who among the two they will pick. Isagi replies, saying that they will choose whoever finishes the first stage first. The two players come into agreement. Afterward, another voice calls out Isagi's name. Nagi, along with Ryo, comes up in front of Isagi and invites him to team up. Isagi, Bachira, and Ryo are shocked by Nagi's invitation. Ryo shows his dismay and asks Nagi if he is sure that Isagi is the right guy for their team. Nagi stands firm with his resolve, stating that Isagi was the most impressive in their previous match. Nagi adds that he also wants to play soccer alongside Isagi. On the other hand, Isagi refused Nagi's order, remarking that he and Bachira are a team. Nagi understood Isagi's reason to reject his invitation. Surprisingly, Nagi offered a solution to that concern. Nagi unexpectedly states that he will be joining Isagi and Bachira's team, leaving Ryo behind. The other 3 players are shocked. Ryo asks Nagi what he was planning on doing. Nagi explains to Ryo that they were not the strongest in their match against Team Z. After losing, Nagi felt such frustration. Knowing this, he wants to further understand this frustration by playing alongside their former opponents. For the first time in his life, Nagi declares that he wants to try and put some effort into soccer. Ryo frustratingly tells Nagi to do whatever he wants. Meanwhile, Bachira asks Isagi what they must do. Although Isagi believes in Kunigami and Chigiri's talents and skills, he can't deny that he too wants to play alongside Nagi. Isagi invites Nagi over to their team. Bachira agrees with Isagi's decision. Soon after, Isagi, Bachira, and Nagi walk towards the gate to the third stage. Before leaving the waiting room, Nagi bids Ryo farewell, telling Ryo that he will be waiting for him. Now the 3 players have exited the waiting room. In the corridor, Bachira fist bumps Nagi, remarking that he is counting on him. Nagi tells him likewise. Bachira then notes that Nagi is a bit cold-hearted since he left Ryo. Nagi then says that he also feels lonely and sad after leaving Rio behind. However, he believes that following his ego is the key to surviving Blue Lock. Nagi also notes that Bachira's team seems more interesting. The three continue walking until they reach the waiting room for the third stage. In this new waiting room, only 3 players can be seen besides Isagi, Bachira, and Nagi. Isagi then notices Ren Itoshi, the player who displayed an impressive skill before entering the first stage of the second selection. Ren was also the first player who partook in the first stage. Suddenly, the screen flashes Ego's face. Ego informs the players in the waiting room that the third stage will be a 3 versus 3 team battle. In his mind, Isagi is concerned about playing against Ren right off the bat. Kunigami has just finished the first stage of the second selection. Upon entering the assembly area for first stage clearers, Kunigami spots Chigiri. They greet and congratulate each other. Kunigami then tells Chigiri that it seems that Chigiri's the only familiar face they see. Chigiri, however, informs Kunigami that Isagi, Bachira, and Nagi have already gone ahead. Kunigami gets a little pissed after hearing that. Chigiri then agrees with him. After this, Chigiri suggests that they should team up. Kunigami agrees. And now they are left to find the person who will take the third and last spot in their team. Meanwhile, at the third stage area, Ego is seen explaining a few details concerning the third stage. Apparently, the third stage is a minigame-styled battle wherein each team consists of 3 teams. The match will end after one group earns 5 goals. For the goalkeeper, each team will have a blue Lockman hologram. There will be a twist at the end of the match. To elaborate, the winning team will have the power to choose one member from the losing team. The stolen player will then join the winning team, becoming a 4-man team. Likewise, the losing team will have to go back to the previous stage. This will continue until the 5th stage. And by the 5th stage, each team will have 5 players. Ego dubs these stages of the second selection as the rivalry battle. After explaining, Ego then announces the new rankings for Blue Lock. Suddenly, the number 15 appears in Isagi's shirt. Bachira is rank 16, while Nagi is rank 7. Apparently, their new rankings are based on the order in which they cleared the first stage. Ego then disappears from the screen after explaining important matters. At Rin's side, each member is seen discussing the third stage. Tokimitsu is frantic and apprehensive. After hearing about the twist in the second selection, Tokimitsu wonders what will happen to him. With low self-esteem, Tokimitsu believes that if they lost, he will not be chosen. Meanwhile, Area notes that they should at least compete with those in ranks 3 to 5. He remarks that winning against potatoes like Isagi will not look stylish at all. However, Rin tells Aryu to shut up. Rin states that he could not care less about who his opponent will be. He just wants to win quickly and go forward. Rin then says that he only chose to team up with Tokimitsu and Aryu because the third stage needed a 3-man team. Rin notes that everything and everyone in the Blue Lock facility is just merely stepping stones for him. Rin regards that he just participated in Blue Lock to take advantage of the system. Rin then declares that his football is ultimately fueled by the thought of crushing Ren Itoshi. After hearing that, Isagi is shocked to realize that Rin is the younger brother of the genius middle fielder Ren Itoshi. Bachira then laughs, noting how egoist Rin is. Nagi then remarks that their team is filled with eccentric players. Isagi then mutters an apology to Nagi and Bachira. Although Isagi knows that they are one extremely tough team to beat, Isagi's ego tells him that he must play with them. So Isagi invites Rin's team to play against them. After hearing the invitation, Bachira and Nagi agree with Isagi's decision. Similarly, Rin agrees, saying that anyone would be fine. With all 6 players agreeing, they enter the third stage of the second select. Match between both teams commences. The game will occur in a mini field with an area of 30 by 40 meters. In front of the nets, Blue Lock men are seen guarding it. For this match, Isagi, Bachira, and Nagi are Team White. Similarly, their Blue Lock man is white to represent their team. After a few seconds, the game officially starts. Isagi has the ball and passes it to Bachira. Because of this, Aryu assigns Tokimitsu to guard Bachira. To get past Tokimitsu, Bachira did a swift scissors kick and successfully got past Tokimitsu. After freeing himself from Tokimitsu, Bachira runs toward Rin and challenges him. However, Rin remains indifferent. Instead of going against Rin, Bachira chose to pass to Nagi. Nagi runs forward to receive the pass. However, Aryu sees this and tries to steal the ball from Team White. As both players try to prevent one another from stealing the ball, they notice that the pass is short. Suddenly, Nagi realizes that the pass was actually meant for Isagi, not him. Suddenly, Isagi appears in the corner running towards the goal. Isagi, now in front of the ball and goal, attempts to score with a direct shoot. As Isagi's shoot was nearing the net, the blue lockman failed to stop it, thus resulting in Team White's first score. The score is now 1-0, with Team White in the lead. After the goal, Team White huddles up and rejoices together. Both Nagi and Bachira commend Isagi's growth since the second selection. Due to this, Isagi felt ecstatic and confident. He also described in his head that Team White was a seriously strong team. Meanwhile, the opponent team reacted differently. Tokimitsu is panicking, while Aryu compliments Isagi's goal as stylish. Nonetheless, Rin still remains unconcerned. Rin then describes their skills as lukewarm. Rin then states that, to some of the players currently present, football is just a sport. Rin corrects them, saying that football is a battlefield. After Rin's declaration, he tilts his body and attempts a score. Although he was far from the goal, the ball's spin compensated for it. No one saw it coming. Although Nagi and Bachira wanted to stop the ball, their feet were glued to the floor. They could only watch the ball go past them. Similarly, the blue lockman also failed to stop the ball. Thus the scores are now 1-1. After watching this, Isagi is in awe. Rin was able to pull off a score from attacking in the kickoff. Nagi then asks Bachira if scoring at that location was allowed. Bachira answers yes, however noting that its rate of succeeding was not high. On the other hand, both Tokimitsu and Aryu were also shocked. However, Rin reminds everyone that he could not care less about his teammates or opponents. May they be a friend or foe. To Rin they are all just lukewarm mobs that will serve as his stepping stone towards his goal. Rin then states that they should end this game already as it has become a waste of time. Because of Rin's arrogant remarks, Isagi confronted him. Isagi tells Rin that he too is betting his life here. Isagi joined Blue Lock for the sake of his goals like Rin. After hearing Isagi's words, Rin tells him that goals were not lukewarm and serene subjects. To elaborate, Rin notes that losing in soccer is the same as losing one's reason to exist. By losing a game, the player has died. Rin concludes that, to him, football is a death match. All 5 players were shocked after hearing Rin's remarks. Nonetheless, Isagi lets go of his momentary shock and chooses to bask in his ego. Isagi challenges Rin, telling him that the lukewarm match has now ended and turned into a deadly battlefield. They continue playing and Isagi's team attacks. Bachira again passes to Nagi, but this time Aryu comes in front of him and jumps high, reaching the ball before Nagi. The ball goes to Tokimitsu and Aryu requests it. Tokimitsu attempts to pass him, but Bachira intervenes and manages to redirect it towards Isagi. Isagi tries to protect the ball and not lose it as it may be fatal, but being tall with long legs, Aryu manages to kick it from behind Isagi and score. Isagi is surprised at his jump and reach. Team White starts again with the ball and as Aryu covers Nagi, Bachira decides to play alone and goes against Tokimitsu. Tokimitsu starts to worry that if he loses he will be kicked. He continued to get himself more negative and eventually rushes at Bachira, who passes him. Worried, Tokimitsu quickly catches up and goes in front of Bachira, who again passes him, but Tokimitsu again catches up to him and takes the ball. Worried, Tokimitsu starts repeating that he needs to score a goal. Isagi faces him, but as he can't figure out how to stop him, Isagi decides to foul him. He grabs Tokimitsu by the shoulder. However, Tokimitsu is unaffected and passes, leaving Isagi on the ground and being shocked at how strong Tokimitsu is. Tokimitsu then faces the blue lock man and easily scores, giving his team 3-1 lead. Isagi realizes that Itoshi isn't the only crazy one. The 3 of them just met and have zero teamwork and play separately using their individual skills. On the other hand, Isagi's team had played together and understand each other, yet there is such a gap between them. Isagi then realizes they will likely lose. Nagi is surprised that there are other amazing players and finds football even more interesting. He thanks Isagi, stating he can see things this way thanks to him and promises him to make things more interesting. Nagi then proposes a strategy and Bachira and Isagi agree with it. Isagi is surprised that Nagi is proposing ideas. Nagi reveals it's his first time proposing ideas. He doesn't want to lose and feel defeated ever again. The game continues. Isagi notes that Nagi can't move freely due to Aryu and Bachira's dribbling is disabled by Tokimitsu. If they play against them they will lose. So Team White intends to stay close to each other in a 15-meter triangle. They will slowly chip away at them with Nagi and Isagi not holding the ball, but passing at the moment they get it. However, with Aryu on Nagi, he can't take the finishing shot and that will be Isagi's job. Isagi finds a route and a place where he can take the shot and heads to take position and wait for the pass. However, Itoshi arrives there too, noting that he can see what he sees too. Since Isagi is blocked, Bachira decides to pass to Nagi, but gives him a super spinning ball. Seeing that, Nagi realizes that Bachira is telling him to not stop the ball. Nagi then touches it, slightly redirecting it. He then turns and runs past Aryu, reaching the ball and scoring. Isagi congratulates them and Nagi notes that he didn't know such passes exist. He explains that Mike's passes are always, do what you want. However, Bachira's pass felt like it was shoving an idea in his brain. Isagi gets excited again, starting to believe in their win. Itoshi states they didn't learn their lesson and are chatting on the battlefield. He takes another shot from the kickoff. However, Isagi felt it and managed to reach the goal and block the shot with his head. Isagi states he can see what Itoshi sees and he is also half-baked. Having learned their styles, Isagi intends to control the field with his eyes. Itoshi goes to take the corner kick. Bachira protects Tokimitsu, while Nagi protects Aryu. Isagi decides to stay in front of the goalkeeper and be able to react to anything. Itoshi kicks the ball and Isagi wonders if it's a pass to Aryu. By the time he figures it's a vertical spin direct shot, Itoshi scores for 4-2. Isagi wonders if he misread the situation, but knows that if he went to protect the post, his position would be open for them to attack. Team White continue with their triangle attack. Isagi notes that it will be hard to reproduce the chemical reacting between Nagi and Bachira to score again and he needs to cause a new chemical reaction. As they keep passing to each other, Itoshi wonders for how long they intend to do it, since they are supposed to be strikers. Annoyed, Isagi feels Itoshi is underestimating him and by covering him that tightly, he leaves big open space behind him. Isagi then calls Bachira for a pass and Bachira kicks the ball. As Isagi runs to the open space, Itoshi runs next to him, wondering if he spot a good space. He tells Isagi to go read a book on how human eyes work and learn something. Isagi is surprised to see Itoshi next to him as he passed him and guesses that he must somehow read his vision. Itoshi then goes in front of Isagi and takes the ball. Isagi wonders how he managed to predict his move that fast. Isagi then realizes that he probably didn't smell a goal, but was led to believe he did and make him move into that position. That would mean that Isagi wasn't controlling the field, but Itoshi was. Itoshi then passes Nagi and Bachira and scores, ending the game. The announce then states Team Red wins over Team White with 5-2. Aryu wonders who they should take. Itoshi states it doesn't matter. Tokimitsu makes a suggestion and Aryu notes he also wanted him. Aryu then calls Bachira to come. Tokimitsu states that Bachira's passes are amazing and Team Red are only good at individual skills. But with Bachira they will become stronger. Bachira is disappointed as he wanted to stay with Isagi's team until the end, but he needs to obey the rules. However, he tells Isagi that he won't be waiting for him and if he wants him, he should come and get him. Isagi and Nagi find themselves in the second stage room, waiting for other two-man teams to arrive. They take a break in the break room, but Isagi insists that there's no time for rest, as they'll be eliminated if they lose the next game. Nagi is more optimistic, believing that they'll win now that their opponent is no longer too strong. Isagi, however, feels that he's different from Nagi and couldn't do much against them. Nagi reminds him that he did score a goal, but Isagi attributes it to their team play. Without their team play, Isagi feels he has no weapons to fight with and can't trigger a chemical reaction like Nagi and Bachira can. Isagi is worried that if they lose the next game, Nagi will be chosen while no one will choose him. Nagi becomes angry and grabs Isagi by the hair, asking him what he's supposed to do in this situation. Nagi joined Isagi because he believed Isagi would make him stronger and can't handle Isagi's negative attitude. Isagi needs to do better, as Ryo wouldn't whine like this. This angers Isagi, who tells Nagi to stop comparing him to Ryo and to team up with Ryo if he likes him so much. Nagi explains that he compares him to Ryo because he's never played with anyone else. Isagi then wonders if Nagi can't do anything without Ryo, but Nagi states the same for Isagi, who can't do anything without Bachira. Isagi is feeling defeated after their previous game, but he is determined to prove that he can excel even without his teammate Bachira. Nagi suggests that perhaps this is the purpose of the current selection process. He explains that in the past, a single player could turn a losing situation into a win by triggering a chain reaction with the rest of the team. However, the second selection stage is played on smaller fields with fewer players, where individual skills hold more weight. Nagi believes that they are being tested on their personal abilities. Isagi realizes that this is why their team play failed and that the key to advancing in the selection is winning one-on-one battles. Nagi asks Isagi how he can overcome his frustration, and Isagi responds that the only way to do so is by winning. As Barou entered the room, Isagi couldn't help but feel a sense of determination. He knew that in order to survive the next round, he would have to defeat Barou. Barou, who was known for being the strongest player, looked around the room with a sense of skepticism. Nagi, who was also present in the room, couldn't believe that Barou was there and questioned his strength after losing his previous match. Barou, not one to back down from a challenge, retorted by calling Nagi an amateur who only knew how to control the ball. Nagi, determined to prove Barou wrong, stated that he would defeat Barou and make him his servant. Isagi, unsure of his own abilities, tried to calm Nagi down. Naruhaya, another player, entered the room and reminded them that they had to wait 24 hours before choosing their next match. Isagi was surprised to see Naruhaya teaming up with Barou, and Naruhaya confirmed that their third player was Hajime Nishioka. Barou had scored 4 goals, but the other team had scored 5, resulting in their loss. The team had decided not to take Barou as they found him to be too selfish and it would have upset the balance of the team. They chose Nishioka instead, leaving Naruhaya with Barou. Barou, frustrated with the loss, blamed Naruhaya and Nishioka for being useless. Naruhaya tried to calm Barou down, reminding him that they had 24 hours and they didn't have to choose Isagi's team. Barou, determined to crush their opponents, stated that he would not be hiding and would defeat them if given the chance. Isagi and Nagi retreat to a private room to rest and strategize. Nagi raises the question of why Isagi hadn't expressed interest in playing against Barou and suggests that they should recruit him as a teammate. Isagi acknowledges this but points out that their skill level doesn't match up with Barou's. He reflects on their previous game, realizing that their strengths on the field only come into play when they receive passes. To truly excel, they need someone who understands their abilities and can pass the ball to them effectively, like Bachira or Mikage. Without passes, they are unable to utilize their unique weapons in a one-on-one situation and struggle to win. Nagi nods off, exhausted, while Isagi continues to ponder the necessary individual skills for success in a one-on-one match. Isagi and Nagi head to the cafeteria the next day, but Nagi is disappointed with the limited options available for breakfast. Isagi, however, is used to this and suggests they focus on what teams they want to play against next. Nagi asks for Isagi's thoughts on the matter and Isagi explains that if they play against a weaker team, they will likely win, but they will also have to add a weaker player to their team, which won't help them in the next stage. Isagi fears that if they return to this stage again, they may lose Nagi. He believes it's better to play against stronger teams in order to acquire a stronger player, but this increases their chances of losing. Nagi agrees, understanding that everyone else is likely thinking the same way. Isagi is training with Blue Lock Man, honing his skills and pushing himself to improve. He realizes that to compete against other skilled players who excel at one-on-one play, he needs to develop similar abilities. He wonders if facing someone like Barou again might give him some insight. Naruhaya enters the training room and sees Isagi, questioning if he has chosen a team yet. Isagi explains that they don't want to take on a weak teammate, but Naruhaya points out that it is a difficult decision as losing means being eliminated. Naruhaya has been thinking about it, and he believes they need to take risks. He himself wants Nagi and not Isagi, and if they truly want to become the best strikers in the world, they cannot play it safe and need to recruit someone strong. Naruhaya challenges Isagi to a match and puts their dreams on the line. Isagi accepts, eager for the opportunity to play against him. Isagi and Nagi are honing their skills in a one-on-one training session, but Nagi is easily able to stop Isagi's moves. Isagi expresses his concern about not knowing how to defeat Barou's unique playing style and weapon, but Nagi tells him that they can't mimic it in training. The only way to truly understand it is to play against him and figure it out during the game. Both players agree that they need to find individual strengths that are strong enough to defeat Barou, with Nagi starting to focus on covering Barou's moves. On the other hand, Barou and Naruhaya are also training together, but Barou declares that today's training is enough and warns Naruhaya not to get in his way during the next match, as he believes Naruhaya is too weak to be of any help. The game begins and the tension is high. Nagi jokingly taunts Barou, asking if he practiced kneeling for him, but Barou confidently declares that he will crush Nagi and make him his servant. Isagi turns to Naruhaya and states that he is serious and that they shouldn't hold back. The game starts with Isagi and Nagi in possession of the ball. Nagi faces off against Barou, but the experienced player easily takes the ball from Nagi's dribbling. Isagi watches Naruhaya's movements, but decides to stay put and wait for Barou to come within his striking distance. However, Barou surprises Isagi by taking a shot from a much farther distance and scores. This causes Isagi to realize that Barou is also evolving and adapting his skills. Isagi and Nagi take to the field for their game. With Isagi starting with the ball, he goes up against Naruhaya, knowing that if he can beat him, they have a chance against the rest of the team. But despite his efforts, Isagi struggles to pass Naruhaya, who is persistent in his defense. He contemplates passing to Nagi, but worries that his pass may not be precise enough and could give Barou the opportunity to intercept it. However, Nagi urges him to make the pass anyway. Isagi passes to the side and Nagi moves towards the ball. Barou chases after him, scoffing at the poor pass. But Nagi has a plan. He recalls instinctively doing similar moves in previous games and now it all starts to make sense to him. He comes up with a new formula that doesn't rely on a good pass, as he can breathe life into the ball with his first touch. With his first touch, Nagi slightly redirects the ball, causing Barou to chase after it. But Nagi kicks it again, redirecting it one more time and passing Barou. He takes the shot and scores. Isagi is amazed at how quickly Nagi is evolving and mastering his formula for winning one-on-one in just one play. The game is in full swing as Barou starts with the ball. Nagi strategizes with Isagi and suggests that they should cover Barou closely, as they know he is a strong player and unlikely to pass. Isagi is worried about Naruhaya, but Nagi assures him that they can handle it. The team manages to take the ball from Barou's possession. Isagi notices that Nagi has been utilizing his back control to create unpredictable first touches and take advantage of tight pressing defenders. He also sees that Naruhaya is keeping his distance, which gives Nagi the chance to play freely without pressure from a defender. This allows Isagi to give straightforward passes to Nagi, such as a shot, which he can easily control and score with. Isagi passes the ball and Nagi successfully stops it with his control, takes the shot and scores, leaving Naruhaya struggling to catch up. The game is heating up as tensions rise between the players. Barou, determined to prove his dominance, takes a shot from the midfield, but Isagi is able to anticipate the move and the goalkeeper saves it. However, Naruhaya manages to grab the loose ball before Isagi and passes it to Barou, who scores, tying the game at 2-2. Isagi realizes that the key to winning the game rests on his and Naruhaya's shoulders. As he faces off against Naruhaya, Isagi recalls that his former teammate had always wanted to beat him and take Nagi. Naruhaya confirms this, noting that he and Isagi are just average players who survive because of others. Isagi, feeling annoyed, passes the ball to Nagi, but Naruhaya intercepts it and the ball ends up in Barou's possession. Barou charges towards the goal, but Isagi is fully focused on stopping him. However, to his surprise, Barou passes the ball to Naruhaya instead. Barou then asks Naruhaya to pass it back to him, but Naruhaya refuses, stating that he wants to catch up to the geniuses on the field. Isagi remembers that Naruhaya's weapon is getting behind the defense and he chases after him, but is unable to stop him. As Naruhaya takes the shot, Isagi realizes that he can't even beat Naruhaya. Naruhaya sets his sights on the goal and takes aim to shoot. However, Blue Lock Man manages to make a saving dive to prevent the ball from entering the net. Isagi and Nagi quickly move in to try to secure the rebound, but Barou is faster and manages to grab the ball, scoring a goal and giving his team a 3-2 lead. Isagi begins to realize that he and Naruhaya share a similar struggle, as Naruhaya excels at breaking through the defense but lacks the finishing touch, while Isagi excels at powerful shots but struggles with breaking through the defense. The player who can overcome their limitations first will be the one to come out victorious in this intense match. Isagi is determined to discover what he is lacking and is willing to try anything to improve his game. He tries using 2-on-1 passes and attempting to outrun Naruhaya, but Naruhaya is able to keep up with him. Eventually, Isagi passes the ball to Nagi, who scores and ties the game. Isagi comes to the realization that simply changing tactics and actions will not be enough to find what he is missing. He understands that true change can only come from tearing down everything he was before. As the game continues, Barou takes a shot from the center, confident that he will score, but Nagi manages to block the ball. Isagi manages to gain possession of the ball, but Naruhaya comes from behind and steals it from him, stating that he will not lose a one-on-one battle to Isagi. Naruhaya prepares to take a shot, but the presence of Nagi causes him to freeze, unsure of his next move. Barou approaches from the side and requests the ball from Naruhaya, who becomes intimidated by Barou's gaze and passes him the ball, resulting in a goal for Team Red. With one more goal to win, Isagi reflects on the importance of the play and how it could have led to his team taking the lead. But as he lost the ball, they are now behind. He contemplates if observing Naruhaya's movements could have prevented him from stealing the ball, but realizes that Naruhaya came from behind him and he wouldn't have been able to see him in his blind spot. This thought leads him to ponder if Naruhaya always positions himself where he can't see him. He realizes that one-on-one isn't just when you have the ball, but also includes off-the-ball one-on-one. And when he considers every move made on the field as part of one continuous one-on-one, it goes against everything he considered normal until now. The game continues and Isagi finds himself with the ball against Naruhaya. He recalls the advice of Itoshi, who had told him to read a book about human eyes, which now makes sense to him as Itoshi was taking advantage of Isagi's blind spot. Armed with the knowledge of his blind spot and the concept of off-the-ball one-on-one, Isagi now has the pieces he needs to rewrite his understanding of football. He passes the ball to Nagi, who manages to equalize the game once again. Isagi is now willing to tear down everything that makes him who he is, as long as he wins. He is ready to be reborn again and again, if that means achieving victory. As the game reaches a crucial point, Nagi reminds Isagi that the next goal will decide the outcome of the game and that they need to steal the ball. Isagi seems lost in thought, but Nagi approaches him and Isagi suddenly calls him a genius and tells him to be quiet as he is about to figure something out. Nagi recalls that Isagi used the same words during a previous game when Isagi had a breakthrough, and takes it as a sign that they will win. Earlier, Naruhaya is eating dumplings with his family. Some of the younger children complain that they are eating dumplings again, but Naruhaya reminds them to be grateful that their older sister got them free dumplings from her job. One of the children expresses her frustration with their financial struggles, but Naruhaya cheerfully tells her to smile and that they will get through it. The scene takes place 2 years after the death of their parents. Naruhaya has decided to become a professional player in order to make enough money to give his family a life of luxury and protect them. When he is accepted into Blue Lock, his eldest sister gives him a good luck charm. Naruhaya keeps the charm with him at all times as a reminder of his motivation. As the game resumes, Nagi takes position on the goal post to prevent Barou from taking a direct shot. Naruhaya suggests they work together in a 2-on-1 formation to get closer to the goal. He wants them to pass the ball back and forth, but Barou tells him to be quiet, that he will play and win as he pleases. Barou takes a direct shot, but this time he curves the ball, aiming for the left side of the goal, where Nagi is not positioned. However, his shot hits the top post and the ball bounces off. Naruhaya, Isagi and Nagi race towards the ball. Barou runs on the side and asks Naruhaya to pass him the ball when he reaches it. Naruhaya wonders if that is his best option, but decides that he wants to have the skill to take shots and score. He takes a direct shot, but like Barou, he hits the post. Nagi takes possession of the ball and prepares for a counterattack. Isagi realizes that Naruhaya tried to emulate Isagi's direct shot. In order to find the missing piece he needs to score, he then realizes that the key is emulation, and he needs to fuse his weapon with Naruhaya's. As the game continues, Isagi runs with the ball, and Barou runs with him to cover him. Isagi notices that until now, he has been neglecting the eyes of players without the ball. Barou needs to keep an eye on Isagi's movement, as well as Nagi who has possession of the ball. However, it is impossible to look at both of them at the same time. So Isagi waits for his window of opportunity and gets into Barou's blind spot. As Barou checks on Nagi, Isagi changes direction and goes behind Barou, who shifts his weight to respond to Isagi's movement. But in that moment, Isagi again changes direction. Nagi sees how Isagi frees himself from Barou's coverage and passes the ball to him. Naruhaya recognizes that Isagi is using his footwork. Isagi then takes a direct shot and scores, winning the game for his team. Naruhaya notes that it took Isagi only a second to take his skill and make it his own. Naruhaya is angry that the outcome of the game is not what he expected, and if the ball had gone in earlier, things would have been different. Isagi states that they were close, and either of them could have won, but Naruhaya disagrees and states that he also believed they were the same. But now that he has lost, he understands. He needed Isagi's direct shot and tried to emulate it, but he produced only a shallow imitation. However, Isagi is different. He took Naruhaya's weapon and mastered it, and it's because Isagi isn't afraid to change. Isagi isn't an average Joe and is always prepared to tear down everything he is, so that he can rebuild himself and become a better version. Naruhaya states that Isagi is a genius of adaptability. Isagi thanks Naruhaya, stating that after going one-on-one with him, he is now stronger. Naruhaya doesn't want Isagi to pity him. Nagi asks Isagi who they will be picking next. Isagi states they need to go higher and turns to Barou and tells him to join them as this isn't where he bows out. Naruhaya stops Isagi from saying anything to him. He thanks him for knocking him down. Naruhaya takes out the charm and apologizes to his family, stating this is where his dream ends. Naruhaya tells Isagi to keep winning until the day he dies. 24 hours earlier, Kunigami and Chigiri are brainstorming who would be the perfect addition to their team. They both agree that they need someone who is a strong passer and can complement their abilities. They spot Ryo, who is feeling down after being rejected by Nagi. Chigiri commiserates with him, saying they are in the same boat and want to defeat Isagi and Bachira for leaving them behind. Kunigami approaches Ryo and asks him if he wants to join their team. In the break room, Isagi tries to mediate between Nagi and Barou, who are bickering over who gets to sleep on the single bed. Isagi also wants to sleep on it. Barou insists that the bunk bed is too small and shaky, but Nagi suggests they settle it with a game of rock-paper-scissors. Barou argues that he is the rule and should get to choose first. Nagi retorts that he lost, and that Barou is no longer a king. Barou dodges Nagi's pillow and throws one back, starting a pillow fight. Isagi starts to wonder if he made a mistake in bringing the two of them on the team. Additional time. Kunigami and Chigiri watch as Ryo continues to pluck the toothbrush. Lost in his thoughts about Nagi, they realize that he is still hurting from the breakup and decide to give him some space. As they walk away, they discuss how difficult it can be to move on from a past relationship and how everyone handles it differently. They agree that they should support Ryo, but also not pressure him to move on before he is ready. They vow to be there for him, no matter what happens. After winning the 2-on-2 match and choosing Barou as their third player, Isagi, Barou, and Nagi head towards the restroom, where Nagi and Barou throw pillows at each other. Angered, Isagi tells them to knock it off as the dust on the pillow is bad for their health and will make them sneeze. As they sneeze, Barou tells them to clean the room, as the dirty room feels sore to him. Angry at his words, Nagi calls him maid, while Barou begins to call him pain man. As they have friendly fight with each other, Isagi thinks that Barou has his own set of absolute rules. He has a very specific way of living his life, including going to bed at 10 and waking up early in the morning. This seems like a pain to him. However, he believes that the aesthetics behind his personal rules give birth to his overwhelming abilities in the field, which might be the driving force behind his ego. While practicing, Nagi wonders why Barou is not practicing with them, as they are the only two who are practicing, to which Isagi informs him that Barou is doing his daily physical training, and due to this, he cannot participate in the practice. When asked to join the practice session, Barou shuts them up and tells them to wait for another 40 minutes. Seeing Barou as physical training, Isagi thinks that his thorough training and stoicism might be the reason behind his strength. He asks Barou to let him join his physical training, but Barou denies it, stating that a loser like Isagi can't keep up with his training. Shocked, Isagi tells him that he won't know unless he tries. As he heads to train with Barou, Isagi wonders that in order to keep winning, advancing, and even defeating the top three, the three of us must produce a chemical reaction. While in the Blue Lock Central meeting room, Unri informs all the investors about the second selection round. She tells them that each player will polish their teamwork abilities and deepen their personal awareness and understanding of others. The players will apply their various mindsets to build teams and compete with each other. She adds that by developing the tactical skills and guiding principles, we are accelerating their self-reliance as players. And in this way, we will develop unique independent strikers, which is the main purpose of this Blue Lock second selection training program. One of the investors rejects her idea and says they need a new star to represent Japan, a high school star that everyone will talk about. Hearing this, Ego calls them old fogies who only think about profits. Ego asks how many prodigies they have crushed with their approach. And when asked what the meaning of this is, Ego states that they waste no time declaring someone a prodigy, whom fans begin to consider as their new national star, even blowing their money on match tickets and jerseys. He further adds that the prodigy then heads overseas to play, but due to the culture shock and language barrier, he can't meet the expectations, and after 2 or 3 years, the prodigy comes back to Japan and spends the rest of his career in a mid-level domestic league. He informs them that as long as this scenario continues to repeat, Japanese soccer is destined to remain third-rate and they will never be able to produce a world-class striker. One of the investors says that they need to consider their budget and need money to cover it. Angered, Ego asks if they know the difference between naturally born abilities and gifted physical abilities. But to him, they are nothing but raw ore. Determined, Ego states that he will produce a genus in a blue lock, which will be the proof of his waged life. After the training is over, Egg and Nagi head to the rest place, but they find Barou already sleeping in one of the beds. Jin then takes the upper bed, as shocked Isagi sticks in the middle one, claiming that both of them are so selfish. The next day, Kunigami, Ryo, and Chigiri start their training session and begin to improve their teamwork. Chigiri tells Kunigami that Isagi's team must have won and advanced to the next round, and they should also try to advance and meet them sooner than later. Kunigami tells him to not rush things. If they are not careful, they won't get stronger and will just lose in the end. He declares that their only goal is to defeat Isagi and Bachira, and for that, they need to advance by getting strong guys on their team. When asked what his thoughts are on this, Ryo states that he does not care as long as he can beat Nagi and make him admit that he needs Ryo. While in the third stage dining hall, Isagi thinks about Naruhaya's words and asks Barou about his playing style. When asked why he is asking this question, Isagi states that he wants to make a chemical reaction between them, and that's why they should understand each other's playing style. Barou shuts him down and tells him to act as a decoy and help him score more goals. Isagi tells him that if he continues like this, he can't make his team win. Angered, Barou informs him that the only reason he lost the match is because of Naruhaya and that he will win with his own goals in the next match. He also tells him that if he wants to hang up on teamwork, then he should have just teamed up with Naruhaya. Isagi informs that he and Naruhaya understand each other but cannot produce chemical reactions, and he wants his physical abilities that will enable him to take a shot from 28 meters range. He also tells him that his abilities are massive, and if he has to work his whole life to get them, he still won't get them. Annoyed, Barou leaves the table and states that he wants to take a bath as he does not believe in teamwork. At the third stage bath, Isagi came across a Kunigami, who asked what he was doing in the third stage. Isagi tells him that they lost to Rin in the match, and they took Bachira with them, and they stole Barou and kicked out Naruhaya. Suddenly, Chigiri comes from behind and asks why he left them behind. Isagi states that he wanted to wait, but Nagi approached him, to which both Kunigami and Chigiri agree that they would have done the same if they were approached by Nagi. Suddenly, Barou arrives and asks them to clean their bodies and towels. Since the trio wants to crush Isagi, they challenge him to a 3-on-3 match, and Isagi can't help but agree to it. Before the match, Isagi informs Nagi and Barou about his plan. He tells them that they will use passes that Barou can receive easily, and he and Nagi will pass back and forth to respond to the enemy's attack, and then they will be flexible about who shoots. Arguing again, Isagi wonders that it will be hard to get those two to cooperate on the field, but he'll just have to respond to both of them to make a chemical reaction. Suddenly, Nagi asked why he chose to fight against them. Isagi tells him that he is good at handling the ball, while Barou is great at his dribbling, and he himself is amazing at his direct shots. But to beat Rin's team, they are missing some critical strength, and that strength is Chigiri's speed. Hearing this, Barou disagrees with the idea and wants Kunigami in his team. Informs them that he promised Ryo to be together till the end and wants him on his team. Isagi tells them that if they don't win their next match, one of them will get stolen. On the other side, Kunigami appoints Ryo in the back, as he and Chigiri will go forward and use their weapons to attack. He further states that since they don't know other team strategies, they should cover their defense. Suddenly, Ryo informs them that he will take Isagi and shut him out, and that he will prove to Nagi that he made a wrong choice. They agreed, to which Kunigami states that he will cover Barou since they have the same physical abilities, while Chigiri will cover Nagi. Admiring Nagi's abilities, Kunigami states that he is the best in terms of talent, but Ryo informs him that he wants to kick Nagi down and make him feel regretful for his actions. On the other side, Airyu and Tokimitsu ask other teams to play with their team, but they reject their offer, stating that they are the top 3 of Blue Lock and they don't stand a chance against them. Shocked, Tokimitsu thinks that if no one plays with them, they will run out of time and maybe drop out of the Blue Lock. Bachira, who is enjoying his meal, tells him that he does not want to play with a low-level team but rather wait for Isagi's team to arrive at the 4th stage and play with them. Rin, who is training alone in the training area, gets approached by Bachira, who wants to play with him, but Rin denies him, saying that he will get on his way. Bachira informs him that if he plays with him, he will make things more fun. While going to the match, Isagi states that he wants to steal back Bachira so he won't get stopped at 3 versus 3, and for this, he will win this match. As the match begins, Kunigami and Barou clash with each other with their physical abilities, but Kunigami stops his attack. Isagi asks for the ball, but he denies it, stating that he will score a goal with his own abilities. Suddenly, Ryo arrives from behind and uses a 2-on-1 tactic to steal the ball from Barou. Realizing how much trouble they are in, Ryo passes the ball to Chigiri, who then runs at his immense speed and scores a perfect goal, making the score 1-0. Seeing this, Nagi and Isagi get fired up and state that they will crush them.
Isagi blends his latest additions to his game, the blind spot, and off-the-ball moves, with his superior spatial awareness to flawlessly identify where all his opponents are focusing their attention. This newfound insight leads him to invent innovative ways to reach the goal. He passes the ball to Barou, fully aware that Ryo will alter his balance to confront him, but Isagi takes advantage of the situation by darting in the opposite direction and slipping past Ryo. Now, he stands alone in front of the goal and waits for a pass from Barou. Unfortunately, Barou ignores Isagi's presence and continues to play solo, resulting in him losing the ball to Kunigami. The red team seizes this opportunity to launch a counterattack. Nagi marks Chigiri and Isagi covers Ryo, but he realizes that leaving Kunigami unmarked is a huge mistake as he will enter his scoring sweep spot and shoot. Kunigami does exactly as expected and puts the ball into the net, giving his team a commanding 2-0 lead. Nagi confronts Barou for not passing to Isagi, who is free, but Barou questions him on why he would pass to someone else so they can score. Nagi tells him nothing will matter if they don't win, but Barou states it doesn't matter if it ain't his goals. As the two can't coordinate, Isagi decides to control the team. Isagi then starts thinking of a chemical reactions with Nagi and Barou, and update his vision of the field. As the game restarts, Isagi looks at Barou and realizes that whatever pass he gives him, it won't lead to a goal. At the same time, he looks at Nagi and sees endless goal potentials. Isagi realizes that he has evolved to the level where he can sense Nagi's off-the-ball movements. He gives him a pass and Chigiri heads towards it, stating that he can't compete with speed with him. Nagi states that no matter how fast he is, humans are unable to suddenly go backward. Nagi then touches the ball in an unthinkable way and redirects it behind Chigiri, eliminating him and opening a chance to shoot. Nagi then takes the shot and scores. As Nagi's play went beyond Isagi's vision, Isagi realizes that this is the chemical reaction between him and Nagi. Nagi wants that Isagi, and he continue playing alone, but Isagi knows that they are barely holding against the red team, and the chemical reaction with Barou is the missing piece they need to win. Isagi confronts Barou on the field, pointing out that his current playstyle is not allowing them to score. He explains that by passing the ball to him and Nagi, they would have more opportunities to score and make the most of each other's skills. Barou staunchly sticks to his beliefs, stating that he only wins through his own goals and refuses to play for anyone else. Isagi grows frustrated, telling Barou that his stubbornness will result in a loss for the team. Despite this, Barou remains resolute, unwilling to change his core principles. Isagi can't help but feel disappointed, knowing that Barou's immense talent is being wasted. He vents his anger, telling Barou that his narrow-mindedness is hindering his potential. Isagi joined forces with Barou with the belief that Barou was capable of greatness. But if he continues down his current path, his career will come to a premature end. Barou, growing increasingly frustrated with the situation, tells Isagi to be mindful of his words. Despite recognizing his own talent, Barou is discouraged by his lack of success. He has no interest in considering tactics that may improve their team's play, such as maximizing each other's strengths. Barou firmly states that they are both driven by their own egos and that Isagi should not try to control him. Isagi questions his own motivations for fixating on Barou. Is it simply to win the game, or does he feel that Barou's situation is such a waste of potential? Meanwhile, Nagi observes that Barou is still acting like a king, even though his approach is not producing the desired results. Nagi argues that until Barou is willing to admit defeat, he will never truly understand the meaning of disappointment. The match continues as Ryo and Isagi square off. Ryo questions Isagi, pointing out that he doesn't understand why Nagi would choose someone like him to play. Isagi is taken aback by the statement, but Ryo doesn't seem to be bothered. He states that he doesn't have any flashy or unique abilities like the rest of the team, but that is what makes him so determined to win. Ryo quickly moves the ball forward, passing to Kunigami who, sensing Barou closing in, returns the ball to Ryo. Kunigami then breaks free from Barou, and Ryo once again finds him with a precise pass. Isagi begins to see that Ryo is the backbone of the team. Despite not being known for a specific skill, he excels in every aspect of the game. The ball eventually reaches Chigiri, who is met by Nagi. Chigiri declares that he is not like Barou and launches a long pass towards the center of the penalty box. Isagi rushes forward to try to get to the ball first, but Kunigami shoves him aside and heads the ball into the goal. Isagi was struggling with the decision to continue playing with Barou or switch to Nagi. He knew they could score a few more times, but ultimately the outcome wouldn't change. Then, he remembered the words of Narahaya, who called him the genius of adaptability. Isagi realized that it's not about conforming to Barou's playstyle, but about embracing and incorporating it into his own. He understood that trying to control Barou's play would not lead to success, but rather he needed to find a way to make Barou's skills complement his own. With this newfound understanding, Isagi confidently informed Nagi that they were going to win the game and instructed him to keep an eye on Isagi's moves. With the game still in play, Isagi is fully aware of the opposing team's strategy. The red team is now wary of Nagi, and Ryo is determined to prevent Isagi from passing to him. The rest of the red team positions themselves, ready to outnumber Nagi if Isagi manages to make the pass. Kunigami is not too concerned with marking Barou, as the team assumes he is no longer a threat. However, Isagi sees this as an opportunity and decides to play with Barou. As he dribbles towards him, the red team is taken aback, and Kunigami moves to shut down Barou. But Isagi had a plan, quickly passing to Nagi. Chigiri prepares to face Nagi, but Ryo warns him not to fall for it, as Nagi will easily dodge him. Chigiri hesitates, blocking Nagi's path, and Ryo joins him, leaving no room for Nagi to pass. As the game resumes, Barou charges forward, eager for the ball. But Kunigami is one step ahead, smothering his every move. Nagi sees that all eyes are on him, but from his perspective, he spots Isagi lurking in a blind spot, ready to pounce. Nagi keeps his focus on Isagi and makes the pass. The red team suddenly realizes their mistake as Isagi sprints towards the goal. Barou, who was seen as a hindrance by the others, was merely a distraction for Isagi's true intentions. Isagi acknowledges that changing others is impossible, but adapting oneself is crucial. And with that, Isagi nets the ball, bringing the score to 3-2. Barou is left stunned as he realizes that Isagi used him as a pawn. Isagi taunts Barou, calling him a donkey, an insult that Barou often dishes out to others. He tells Barou to continue playing his own game and not get in their way. Enraged, Barou wants to prove that he is the true king of the field. The red team begins with possession, but Ryo senses that Isagi's demeanor has changed. The rest of the team are cautious of Isagi, anticipating a pass from Ryo. Ryo opts for the established link-up play, sending the ball to Chigiri and then to Kunigami. Barou, however, refuses to be a bystander and asserts that if the ball won't come to him, he'll go get it himself. He manages to strip the ball from Kunigami and launches a counterattack. Nagi requests a pass, but Barou denies him. Ryo comes to Kunigami's aid, kicking the ball away from Barou. However, the ball falls into the hands of Isagi, causing Ryo and Kunigami to question whether Isagi deliberately positioned himself to intercept the ball after Barou's takeover. Chigiri charges towards Isagi, but instead of panicking, Isagi calmly passes the ball to Nagi, who then scores, leveling the score to 3-3. As the red team moves forward with the ball, Chigiri is aware of the fact that if they keep sticking to their usual tactics, Isagi will easily predict their moves and shut them down. With a pass from Ryo, Chigiri recognizes his own vulnerability when he takes control of the ball and slows down, leaving him open for Nagi to block him. To overcome this weakness, Chigiri decides to take a bold move and swiftly propel the ball with his first touch, keeping it rolling as he runs. He manages to stay clear of Nagi, evading Barou's tackle, and with a powerful shot, scores a goal. This impresses Nagi, who realizes that Chigiri has evolved. Isagi applauds Chigiri's bravery and states that a striker who is buried before they have a chance to shine can never become the world's best. After being used by Isagi, Barou falls to the ground and wonders why is he on his knees and unable to steal even one goal, declaring that he should be the king of the field. He recalls his past when he was always the main action of the field. He thinks that he had so much talent, and when it comes to soccer, he believed everyone besides himself were supporting roles. While playing a soccer match at his young age, a bunch of boys praised him for his amazing abilities, but every time he heard that kind of praise from those around him, he thought that they are playing the supporting role, but still they are happy, and wonders what's so fun about playing soccer like that, even declared himself as a king in front of them. At this stage, he gave up on trying to understand others, and became obsessed with just pursuing his own soccer. After becoming stronger, he realized that the reason why he enjoys soccer to this extent is not just to taste the feeling of being the king, or not just he wants to kick the ball, but he wanted people like himself. People who also bet their lives in soccer like himself. And so, he used his goals to drag these people of the seat of main actor, and played soccer to feel that pleasure. Nagi then tells that if they lose the next ball, they will also lose this game. He informs him not to worry, as they will catch up to the goals. Suddenly, with determination in his mind, Barou kicks the ball from the center, but to his annoyance, ball hits on the pole of goal. Seeing this loose ball, Kunigami runs towards it, but Nagi appeared behind him, causing him to give the pass to Ryo, who does not want to lose the ball in front of the goal. To his shock, Isagi appears in front of him. Ryo, seeing this dire state, thinks that Isagi must have read where the pass would have come from. Since he does not want to lose to him again, he fiercely kicks the ball before Isagi can get it. To his surprise, Barou arrives on the scene and runs towards the loose ball. He thinks that if he carried the ball 2 or 3 meters in one touch, he will be able to reach his 28-meter shooting range, and will steal a goal. Just as he about to enter his shooting range, Chigiri appeared behind him and informs him that he is faster than him. Shocked, Barou wonders what to do in this difficult situation, and thinks that if he take the time to touch the ball once, Chigiri will catch up to him and steal the ball. Just as he wondering what to do, suddenly, Isagi runs in front of him, and with monster eyes, asks him to give the pass. To Barou's horror, he gives him the pass and Isagi scores the goal, leveling the score 4-4. Shocked, everyone wonders about Barou's past, but thinks that it was made unintentionally and unconsciously, like a weak bowing down to the strongest. After devouring Barou, Isagi repeats Barou's line and tells him to move for the sake of his goal. Feeling despair, Barou states that the ball was not passed, but made to pass, and in that moment, he lost to Isagi. He then realizes that the main actor of the blue lock is not him, but Isagi. During the break, the red team thinks about Isagi and states that they don't feel like they can stop him now, but Ryo tells them that since they will start with the ball, they should keep it that way, and if they lose the ball, they will also lose the game. Hearing this, Chigiri tells them to use his speed, as he is the only who has the highest chance of scoring a goal. Agreed, Team Red vows to win this game. On the other side, Isagi is also worried about the ball and states that since they are starting with the ball, they need to steal it away first. Nagi informs him that Chigiri is bad news. Even if they keep a close guard on him, he will still crush anyone in an even contest of speed, and if he's able to rush in with all he's got, he will overpower us and win this game for his team. Hearing this, Isagi tells him that they have no choice but to stop them before that. Nagi then asks him to work with Barou, as he thinks that it would be easier to defend with 3 of them, but Isagi informs him that nothing they can say will matter to that fallen king, and that both of them will need to settle this. As the game starts, Ryo takes the ball but Isagi blocks him on the way. He opens a way for Ryo to pass the ball to Kunigami, but Ryo thinks that he wants to use Chigiri's speed to charge forward, but has no choice to pass the ball to Kunigami, as Nagi is blocking Chigiri's way. He then passes the ball to Kunigami, who gets approached from behind by Barou. Kunigami, realizing that he cannot take on Barou with his skills, and does not want to lose the ball to any of them, passes the ball back to Ryo. Seeing this, Ryo wonders that if they keep passing to each other, they will never be able to attack. Determined to defeat Isagi, Ryo makes a stunning dribbling and passes the ball to Chigiri, even declaring his victory over Isagi. Suddenly, Nagi runs straight towards the ball. Seeing this, Ryo thinks that since he could not beat Chigiri in an even race, so he's going all out to try to intercept the pass. But Isagi tells him that his pass was nice, as they were waiting for this moment. Hearing this, Ryo realizes that all of this was part of Isagi's plan, as he wanted Nagi to touch the ball before Chigiri and then pass it to Barou. After receiving the ball, Isagi calls him a loser and tells him to go ahead. Barou, feeling embarrassed, realizes that the field is shining for the sake of Isagi's goal, and yet, he does not feel any frustration, despite not being the main actor of the field anymore. Suddenly, Nagi approaches from his right side and asks him to give the ball to him, but Chigiri blocks his way. Realizing this dire situation, Barou thinks that Nagi and Isagi are showing a vision of the goal, and if he passes the ball to any of them, they will win this game, and he can become a piece of the coming goal. Barou then wonders if this is what they call a team, or this is the so-called chemical reaction with those two. As begins to give the pass, he suddenly stops and realizes that if he gives this pass to any of them, all the hard work he had done in whole life will be over. He also states that the act of entrusting will save him, but that is nothing but escapism. For people with broken dreams, their lives are an excuse for the losers, and he does not want to live throughout that future. Realizing this, Barou uses a chop feint and then an angle dribble, shocking Kunigami on the spot. Seeing his intense motion, Ryo thinks that if he passes to Isagi, the game will be over, but Barou tricks him, as he used Isagi as bait and charges with a lightning dribble without killing his speed. Kunigami, seeing Barou's monster avatar, realizes that he must be experiencing an awakening at point of the game, and calls Chigiri to chase after him, as he will not pass to anyone anymore. Barou then appears behind Isagi and charges again, with a lightning-fast speed. Chigiri, seeing this, realizes that he used Isagi as barrier to hide his next action. Barou, determined to crush Isagi, informs them that this is his time to devour Isagi, and plans on getting past all of them. He also tells them that he's not gonna end up in a supporting role, and if Isagi and Nagi are the main actors, then he will devour them and be the villain if he has to. With this newfound ego, Barou kicks the ball and scores a scoring, ensuring a victory for his team. Isagi and Nagi welcome him back as the king of the field. With fierce determination, Barou yells out loudly, claiming that this wicked road is his new king's road, and he is the only king. After the match, Isagi runs towards him to give him a high five, but Barou grabs him from his collar, telling him to take back the word donkey which he said to him earlier. Hearing this, Isagi tells him that he was wrong as he is an amazing player. Suddenly, Nagi hits Barou from behind and begins celebrating their victory. Praising his lightning-fast dribbles, Nagi asks Barou why he didn't do it earlier, to which Barou tells them that he always thought that the field only belonged to him, and he was versus all the rest, but Isagi and Nagi were the first ones to steal the lead role away from him. He then realized that in order to survive, he must dominate the field as a villain, and so, his new chop-dribbling weapon was born. Barou also informs them that villain or not, his dream is to become the world's best striker, and the king of the field, even telling him that he won't lose to him again. As Barou leaves the area, Isagi and Nagi fist bump each other, calling it a nice game. Unri, looking at Barou as chop dribbles, realizes that he is one of the top talents in Japan, and starts praising his awakening even more. Suddenly, Ego informs her that this was not his awakening, but was his pure talent. He then explains that defeat is a simple phenomenon that must exist in the world of competition. Even for the world's best striker, it's impossible to win every single game. What matters is what they take from the defeat. A loser is denied by the field they are playing on, but for a fighter, there is nothing worse than that despair. Feeling despair, Team Red wonders what will happen to them as they have lost the game now. Suddenly, Team White appears in front of them. Isagi states that in order to defeat Ren and win back Bachira, he chooses this guy. After beating Team Red, Isagi wonders who they pick for Team White. Barou states that he wants Kunigami in his team, as he is good at hanging onto the ball as post player with his burly physique, and can provide more opportunities on the front line. Disagree with this, Nagi tells him that he wants Ryo in his team as he is a great anchor who can set up shots, and has a good balance of offense and defense. Hearing this, Isagi states that both of them can help their team, but it would also smoother their possibilities of winning against Ren's team, which means it would basically be committing suicide. He further states that the key to clearing the second selection is chemical reactions. We only made it this far because the three of us made that happen in real time, including Isagi devouring Barou and Barou devouring him back. With fierce determination, he informs all of them that he wants someone who will devour all of us, and without that, we'll never be able to beat the top three. Hearing this, Barou states that it's a gamble, but he can't refute the logic, to which Nagi also agreed to his statement. In a shocking moment, Isagi picks Chigiri for his team, and tells him that they need his legs. Before leaving Team Red, Chigiri tells Kunigami not to forget this, as they still haven't beaten Isagi yet, and he will wait for him with the same exact frustration. Admiring Ryo's last play, Nagi tells him that he was only able to make it here because it was up against him. Nagi further tells him that he has amazing abilities and great talent, and can make a pass in such an impossible situation. With a frustration on his face, Nagi tells him that things could have gone in their way, but he's going ahead. Suddenly, Ryo asks him to pick him instead of Chigiri. He then reminds him of their promise to become the best in the world together, but hesitantly tells him that he has changed since aligning with Isagi, and he doesn't even care about him anymore. Shocked, Nagi tells him that if he thinks becoming the best in the world is simple, then he is wrong, further telling him that their promise was to play soccer, but not to play together, and he's not forgotten their promise. Before leaving, Nagi informs him that he is a pain in the butt, and he does not care about him anymore. Isagi then tells Ryo that, "Don't be the one who gets chosen, but be the one who gets to choose," even telling him that only somebody who can become the world's best striker can survive in Blue Lock. As the four of them leave the arena, Kunigami and Ryo gets frustrated for their loss, and states that their journey is over. On the other side, Bachira thinks about his child, asking his mother that why everyone calls him a weird. His mother tells him that he is not weird, and the other children are not wrong at all. When asked what is the meaning of this, she tells him that fighting is bad, but the things he feels, these kids probably cannot feel them at all. Bachira then asks her that what should he do then, as he just wants to play soccer with someone which is actually better than playing video games. She then tells him that when people become adults, they stop believing even they don't want to, and while they pretending to not hear it, they actually become unable to hear their own voice. She further tells him that the thing he is trying to believe is something fleeting, yet precious, and it's the voice of a monster that lives inside his heart. Suddenly, the monster arrives at the scene and Bachira sees it for the first time with his own eyes. Back to the present, Bachira is training with Ren, and then falls to the ground. On the four-stage four-man room, Team White takes some rest, with Isagi napping on the bed, Barou cleaning the sheet, Nagi watching a video, and Chigiri drying his hair. Isagi talks about their next match strategy, but none of them listens to him. Suddenly, Barou finds dirty socks and towel lying on the ground and asks for their owner, to which Chigiri tells him that the socks belongs to him, and he will pick them up after drying his hair. Hearing this, Nagi tells him that the towel belonged to him and asks him to toss it in the washing machine. As Barou scolds them for not taking cleaning seriously, Isagi tells them to relax and go have some dinner, but Chigiri and Nagi refuses. To everyone's surprise, Barou agrees to his request, and they head to four-stage dining hall. At the dining hall, Isagi thinks about the last game and saying harsh words to Barou, wondering that he still might be upset about it. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Barou asks him that what does he see in the field, and what kind of soccer he wants to play. Isagi tells him that his weapons are his spatial awareness abilities and direct shots, and he can position himself in the field while he does not have the ball. He once again asks Barou to forgive him for harsh words in the game, but Barou tells him that everything he said was true, further revealing that he's not the kind of chick who still can't change even after feeling pain, but is strong enough to die once and drag himself back up. Surprised at his words, Isagi tells him that the Barou he knew way before is gone, and he kinda like this new one. Hearing this, Barou informs him that the only reason he's trying to get to know him better is so he can devour his talent and completely obliterate him. Isagi then tells him to give it his all, as he will tell him all about himself, and then he will evolve twice as fast as him. As they begin arguing on who will evolve further, Chigiri asks Nagi about what he's been watching this whole time, to which Nagi tells him that he is watching a compilation of World Soccer Super Plays and wants to study their traps. Nagi shows him the video of Noel Nova, who is the current world's best striker, but Chigiri makes fun of him by stating that no one is good as you are. Thanking him for praising him, Nagi asks Chigiri about his leg, to which Chigiri tells him that his right leg is hurt and is kinda ticking time bomb, and will be bad if he busts it again, but he has no regrets for this. He further tells Nagi that before he can become the world's best striker, he wants to beat a lot of guys first. As Barou and Isagi heads back to their room, Isagi thinks that since Chigiri and Nagi are on his team, what kind of game are they going to play? Suddenly, after entering the room, they see Nagi and Chigiri playing with Barou's shoe, with Nagi catching it with right foot. Infuriated, Barou asks what are they doing with his shoe, to which Nagi tells him that he wanted to try it after watching some online videos. As the three of them argue over Barou's shoe, Isagi, with a fierce determination, states that he can entrust himself to these three, and they can beat the top three for sure. On the other side, Bachira teases Ren for finally being serious with him, but Ren tells him that his moves are too tepid and his dribbling only relies on instinct, which won't work against him. When asked why, Ren informs him that his dribbling looks as if he's having fun with it, but he's actually afraid to fight on his own, and is searching for something with his soccer, even telling him that such a tepid ego doesn't stir his soul in the slightest. Bachira's mother, while making a painting in her room, recalls Bachira's love for football. As a kid, Bachira slept with football, ate with football, and even had a ball with him all the time. She revealed that he loved dribbling, and sometimes he had become one with the ball, which was the best feeling he ever received. He believed that there is nothing in the world more fun than football, and he proved it while playing alone against a number of children and scoring many goals. Since he is better than the other kids and outplays them every time, the other kids begin to feel bored and stop wanting to play with him. Hearing this, he tells them to be one with the ball, as this will help them do amazing stuff like him. But to his surprise, everyone ignores him and prefers playing video games over football, even calling him a weirdo. Hearing this, Bachira hits one of the kids with a powerful punch and states that he is not a weirdo, but due to his disadvantage, he gets beat down by other kids. Later, he tells his mother about the fighting stuff, to which she informs him that he is not a weirdo, but that the other kids can't feel what he feels. When asked what he should do since he loves football more than anything, and does not have any interest in any video games, his mother tells him to be a good boy and wants him to listen to his heart and the monster inside him. Hearing her mother's words, Bachira then begins to play football with the monster. After a few years, as he grew up, he played a football match for his school. As the match progresses, all of his teammates want him to pass the ball, but he thinks that passing it would be a waste, and the monster inside him won't allow it. Instead of passing the ball to his teammates, he passes it to the monster, and the ball goes outside. Seeing this, the coach of his team scolds him, but he ignores him. He believes that there should be someone who feels the same joy as him, since the strikers on TV are playing like the monster he sees, and he wants to play football like that. After that, he kept on playing, believing in the monster and in the fun of football, declaring that he wants to find someone who can share this joy with him at its deepest level. But after some time, he started fearing that he may never meet someone who understands him and continue to play football alone, even recalling that he might die of loneliness. One day, after arriving at home, he received a letter with his address stating that he had been selected to become a certified athlete. Seeing this, her mother gets excited and wants him to do his best, to which Bachira happily agrees. He then wonders about playing with Noel, Ronaldo, Messi, and Zico before waking up in the Blue Lock. It was then revealed that the invitation he received to become a certified athlete was from Blue Lock. After waking up, he heard egos say that whoever's it, the moment time runs out will be knocked off, further revealing that using hands is not allowed. Hearing this, he thinks that this is not a game and ignores Ego's words. Suddenly, Igarashi approaches him with a ball and wants to hit him, but he suddenly gets up while kicking him in the face, causing Igarashi to bleed heavily from his nose. Seeing this, Kunigami approaches him and tells him that he is not a fan of dirty play and wants him to play fair. As there are many players in Blue Lock, he hoped that there would be one as good as the monster, and he feels that this is a place where he could play soccer for real, and is like a paradise to him. As Isagi approaches Igarashi with the ball, who has nowhere to go, Bachira sees him for the first time, saying that if he does not change, he will be the same person, but he came here to change his life. Hearing those words, Bachira tells him that he likes him, and if he wants to beat someone, then it has to be the strongest one here, stealing the ball from him. After playing for some time, Bachira passes the ball to Isagi to eliminate Kira, wondering that the true monster he's been searching for so long is here. As Isagi was there, Bachira started believing that Isagi could understand his football the best and share the joy of it with him. He was the one he was longing for, and this is the reason why Bachira believes in Isagi. After remembering his past, Bachira thinks about Ren's words and asks him how he knew he was looking for someone, stating that no one's ever said anything like that to him before. He further explains that he has a monster inside, and it's like a vision of the football he wants to play. He came to Blue Lock to find that monster in real life. Ren tells him that he does not care about his monster, but informs him that he is obsessed with something childish, which makes him play like a wimpy and half-baked. Before leaving the arena, he tells him to go play with his monster for the rest of his life while he becomes the best in the world. Hearing this, Bachira wonders if maybe Ren is a different monster that he can't fully understand yet. As they both left the training room, Isagi waited for them outside the door, revealing that, as promised, he came to get Bachira back and challenged Ren to a match. As the match is on, Bachira wonders which of these two monsters can delight his heart more. After beating Team Red, Isagi wonders who they pick for Team White. Barou states that he wants Kunigami in his team, as he is good at hanging onto the ball as post player with his burly physique, and can provide more opportunities on the front line. Disagree with this, Nagi tells him that he wants Ryo in his team as he is a great anchor who can set up shots, and has a good balance of offense and defense. Hearing this, Isagi states that both of them can help their team, but it would also smoother their possibilities of winning against Ren's team, which means it would basically be committing suicide. He further states that the key to clearing the second selection is chemical reactions. We only made it this far because the three of us made that happen in real time, including Isagi devouring Barou and Barou devouring him back. With fierce determination, he informs all of them that he wants someone who will devour all of us, and without that, we'll never be able to beat the top three. Hearing this, Barou states that it's a gamble, but he can't refute the logic, to which Nagi also agreed to his statement. In a shocking moment, Isagi picks Chigiri for his team, and tells him that they need his legs. Before leaving Team Red, Chigiri tells Kunigami not to forget this, as they still haven't beaten Isagi yet, and he will wait for him with the same exact frustration. Admiring Ryo's last play, Nagi tells him that he was only able to make it here because it was up against him. Nagi further tells him that he has amazing abilities and great talent, and can make a pass in such an impossible situation. With a frustration on his face, Nagi tells him that things could have gone in their way, but he going ahead. Suddenly, Ryo asks him to pick him instead of Chigiri. He then reminds him of their promise to become the best in the world together, but hesitantly tells him that he has changed since aligning with Isagi, and he doesn't even care about him anymore. Shocked, Nagi tells him that if he thinks becoming the best in the world is simple, then he is wrong, further telling him that their promise was to play soccer, but not to play together, and he's not forgotten their promise. Before leaving, Nagi informs him that he is a pain in the butt, and he does not care about him anymore. Isagi then tells Ryo that, "Don't be the one who gets chosen, but be the one who gets to choose," even telling him that only somebody who can become the world's best striker can survive in Blue Lock. As the four of them leave the arena, Kunigami and Ryo gets frustrated for their loss, and states that their journey is over. For stage 4-man room, Team White takes some rest, with Isagi napping on the bed, Barou cleaning the sheet, Nagi watching a video, and Chigiri drying his hair. Isagi talks about their next match strategy, but none of them listens to him. Suddenly, Barou finds dirty socks and towel lying on the ground and asks for their owner, to which Chigiri tells him that the socks belongs to him, and he will pick them up after drying his hair. Hearing this, Nagi tells him that the towel belonged to him and asks him to toss it in the washing machine. As Barou scolds them for not taking cleaning seriously, Isagi tells them to relax and go have some dinner, but Chigiri and Nagi refuses. To everyone's surprise, Barou agrees to his request, and they head to 4th-stage dining hall. At the dining hall, Isagi thinks about the last game and saying harsh word to Barou, wondering that he still might be upset about it. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Barou asks him that what does he see in the field, and what kind of soccer he wants to play. Isagi tells him that his weapons are his spatial awareness abilities and direct shots, and he can position himself in the field while he does not have the ball. He once again asks Barou to forgive him for harsh words in the game, but Barou tells him that everything he said was true, further revealing that he's not the kind of chick who still can't change even after feeling pain, but is strong enough to die once and drag himself back up. Surprised at his words, Isagi tells him that the Barou he knew way before is gone, and he kinda like this new one. Hearing this, Barou informs him that the only reason he's trying to get to know him better is so he can devour his talent and completely obliterate him. Isagi then tells him to give it his all, as he will tell him all about himself, and then he will evolve twice as fast as him. As they begin arguing on who will evolve further, Chigiri asks Nagi about what he's been watching this whole time, to which Nagi tells him that he is watching a compilation of World Soccer Super Plays and wants to study their traps. Nagi shows him the video of Noel Nova, who is the current world's best striker, but Chigiri makes fun of him by stating that no one is good as you are. Thanking him for praising him, Nagi asks Chigiri about his leg, to which Chigiri tells him that his right leg is hurt and is kinda ticking time bomb, and will be bad if he busts it again, but he has no regrets for this. He further tells Nagi that before he can become the world's best striker, he wants to beat a lot of guys first. As Barou and Isagi heads back to their room, Isagi thinks that since Chigiri and Nagi are on his team, what kind of game are they going to play? Suddenly, after entering the room, they see Nagi and Chigiri playing with Barou's shoe, with Nagi catching it with right foot. Infuriated, Barou asks what are they doing with his shoe, to which Nagi tells him that he wanted to try it after watching some online videos. As the three of them argue over Barou's shoe, Isagi, with a fierce determination, states that he can entrust himself to these three, and they can beat the top three for sure. As Team Red makes their way to the field, Tokimitsu requests Bachira to pass the ball to him for a chance to score, but then he apologizes for his boldness. Meanwhile, Aryu insists that Bachira passes the ball to him instead, hoping to score some spectacular goals. Before the game between Ren's and Isagi's teams begins, Aryu compliments Chigiri's beautiful hair and asks him what he uses to maintain it. Chigiri tells him that he uses the communal bath products, and Aryu assumes that Chigiri must have natural-born glam. Although Aryu feels sorry for touching Chigiri's hair without permission, he explains that he follows the law of glam and is honored to play against a fellow member of the glam family. Chigiri shakes Aryu's hand and comments that his name is quite classical. When Aryu introduces himself as Chiyubei, Chigiri remarks that Aryu's first name is not glam and is outdated like a samurai. Aryu's insecurities about his appearance led him to strike some glamorous poses in an attempt to push away negative thoughts. His teammate, Tokimitsu, tried to calm him down, reminding him not to waste his energy before the game even began. However, Barou was growing impatient and demanded that they start the game immediately. Tokimitsu, concerned about Barou's confidence and his tendency to always come out on top without suffering any setbacks, began to worry about the upcoming match. He expressed his concern to his teammates, stating that Barou was likely to live a happy and successful life while ruling over society. As Barou prepared to cover Tokimitsu, he attempted to pull him up but was surprised to find that he couldn't budge him. Meanwhile, Nagi also expressed his desire to play against Ren. The match between Ren's teams begins, and Ren makes a pass to Bachira, who immediately faces off with Isagi. Bachira attempts to use his ultra-fast scissors technique to pass Isagi, but he fails to do so as Isagi is closely marking him. Bachira then realizes that Isagi is not only focused on him, but is also strategically positioning himself on the field to limit Bachira's options. With Nagi on his left, Bachira understands that Isagi has anticipated his move and will force him to go to his right. Despite the risk, Bachira takes a chance and tries to go left towards Isagi, but Barou, who is ready for this move, comes to Isagi's aid. Bachira is forced to pass the ball back to Tokimitsu, but Isagi intercepts the pass, leaving Bachira stunned. He had thought they were working in combination, but instead, Isagi and Barou work together to shut him down. The counterattack by Isagi's team begins, with Isagi passing the ball to Nagi. Nagi quickly notices that Ren is not moving forward to pressure him, as he knows Nagi's first touch can be difficult to handle. Ren is keeping his distance to react quickly to Nagi's moves. Nagi then decides to pass the ball to Chigiri with his first touch, as he has adapted well against Ren. However, Ren and Aryu are quick to react and head towards the ball. Despite their efforts, speedy Chigiri manages to get to the ball first and score. Bachira is impressed by the exceptional link-up play displayed by Isagi's team, which allowed them to defeat their opponents. As the game restarts, Bachira once again finds himself in possession of the ball. This time, he is keeping a watchful eye on Barou, who has been causing trouble for their team. Isagi notices Aryu passing him, but he knows that as long as Bachira doesn't pass him, they are safe. Bachira faces Isagi, but Barou is yelling distracts him. Seizing the opportunity, Isagi attempts to steal the ball, but Bachira surprises everyone with a no-look pass to Aryu. Chigiri tries to intercept the pass, but Aryu's long reach allows him to grab the ball first. Aryu then passes the ball to Tokimitsu, who has been waiting for it. Barou charges towards Tokimitsu, who is visibly frightened by his imposing presence. However, Barou is unable to move Tokimitsu, who quickly passes the ball with his first touch. The ball heads towards Ren, and Nagi rushes towards him, ready to tackle. But just as he sees Ren preparing to shoot, Ren fakes the shot and passes the ball past Nagi, catching him off guard. As the game progressed, Isagi observed the situation and predicted that Ren would lure Nagi to make his move. So, he rushed towards Ren to cover him, and Chigiri also joined him on the defense. Bachira followed suit and positioned himself on the side. Ren prepared to shoot, and Chigiri tried to block it, but Isagi sensed that it would be another fake. True to his instinct, Ren faked the shot and passed Chigiri, leaving Isagi to face him one-on-one. With his impeccable skills, Ren manipulated the entire field to his advantage, proving to be a monster with limitless variations, not relying on any chemical reactions. Isagi launched an attack on Ren, but the latter passed him effortlessly. Isagi realized that Ren had finally learned how to use his eyes, but his half-baked play won't move his heart. Ren then took a shot, scoring the equalizer. Isagi reflected on the previous game, where he couldn't comprehend why they lost, but now he understood the logic behind every move Ren made. He believed that if he could devour Ren, they would have a chance to win. Nagi is left wondering how they can even stop Ren's play. Isagi explains that Ren's position in the last play was carefully calculated to put him within his shooting range. The problem was that they became so focused on reacting to this move that they lost their initiative. It seems that predicting a few steps ahead and manipulating their opponent's thinking is Ren's standard operating procedure. Chigiri speculates that Isagi's own skills must be quite similar if he can analyze Ren's play so well. Isagi realizes that he's the only one on the field who can match wits with Ren, and that the only thing that can stop him is Isagi's own sharp mind and eyes. The game continues, and Chigiri gains possession of the ball. Aryu immediately blocks his path, and Isagi notices that Ren has positioned himself to react to any move Chigiri makes. However, this leaves Nagi unmarked as Bachira cannot cover both Isagi and Nagi at the same time. Isagi realizes that everyone's attention is on Nagi, so he decides to run behind and emerge from a blind spot. Chigiri passes the ball, but Ren quickly intercepts it. Isagi realizes that Ren had anticipated his off-the-ball movement and had seen the same field as him, but got there before Isagi did. During the game, Ren passes the ball to Bachira as Nagi and Barou cover him. Isagi quickly covers Bachira, who is surprised to see Isagi playing against Ren. Bachira decides to give some ideas and makes a deceptive pass that appears to be a shot. Isagi realizes that the ball has a backspin, indicating that it is a long pass to Aryu. Chigiri and Nagi also rush to the ball, but Isagi predicts that they will be able to stop Aryu. Bachira hopes that Aryu notices the path of the pass, and Aryu does so. He realizes that if he waits for the ball to reach its arc's end, someone else will get it, so he must meet the ball in midair. Aryu jumps high in the air and scores with a header. Bachira is successfully creating chemical reaction between the top 3 players, and they're playing as a team instead of relying solely on individual skills. Nagi, feeling frustrated, is determined to defeat them. He reflects on Mikic's advice that he needed to experience defeat to become stronger, but wishes he could have done so with Mikic by his side. As the game continues, Nagi realizes that Isagi is looking for a pass from Chigiri, which Ren also predicts. Ren is currently winning due to his superior physical abilities, but Nagi decides to be the final piece of the puzzle and disrupt the field they've envisioned. He dashes past them. Chigiri spots his move and makes a pass to Nagi. Ren reacts quickly to stop Nagi, but Nagi tricks him by skipping the ball towards Isagi. Nagi hopes that Isagi has analyzed the situation and can assist him in scoring. Isagi reevaluates the field and passes to Nagi, who manages to position himself behind Ren. However, Ren anticipates Nagi's move and acts quickly. In response, Nagi pretends to volley the ball, but instead, he maintains control of it. Ren misses the mark, and Nagi performs a 2-stage fake volley before scoring. Nagi recognizes that there is no limit to his strength with Isagi's help and apologizes to Ryo, as he can't return to his former self now that he's experienced this level of skill. Bachira informs Ren that they have succeeded and asks if he still believes this is incomplete. Ren replies by telling him to be quiet, revealing that he also becomes more motivated when he's As Anri watches Nagi's fake volley play against Ren, she calls it amazing and believes that it was a miracle. Ego states that if she finds this miraculous, then it shows how average she is. Hearing his words, Anri gets angry and states that this was a top-drawer play and they cannot produce this kind of play again. However, Ego doesn't agree to her statement and tells her that miraculous events can be explained and a formula for them awaits at the end of this selection. Isagi is excited that he managed to beat Ren with the help of Nagi. However, he wants to be able to defeat him himself. Seeing this, Bachira gets excited and states that he was waiting for this kind of play. With the score 2-2, Isagi thinks about their strategy. With his spatial awareness and Nagi's first touch, he believes that they can beat Ren if they can combine their strength with each other, but in order to do that, they have to repeat the moves that got them there, and must create a condition where their parameters are better than his. He also states that being equal with Ren is not enough, and if he wants to become the best striker in the world, he must find a way to beat Ren by his own. Seeing their play, Ren gets fired up and states he is taking control of the field. The game restarts. Ren gives a pass to Tokimitsu. Barou believes he will reach the ball first, however the ball has a backspin and as it hits the ground, it turns towards Tokimitsu, who then takes control of it and holds it. Ren then moves to a better position to receive a good pass from Tokimitsu, and he gives it to him. As Ren gets the ball, he immediately kicks the ball and makes a pass to Aryu. Seeing the ball, Aryu realizes that the pass is meant to test his limit and accepts the challenge. He jumps high in the air and stops the ball with his chest. However, Chigiri manages to catch up to him. Having no choice, Aryu then passes back to Ren. As he gets the ball, Ren prepares to shoot. Nagi catches up to him and believes that it's a feint and tries baiting it, but Ren does a roulette and passes him. Isagi foresaw that and believes he got one step before Ren. However, Ren states he is 2 steps behind as he had already passed towards Bachira. Seeing this, Isagi realizes that Tokimitsu's physique, Aryu's jump, and even his reading of the field, all were part of Ren's plan, and he used them like puppets. Bachira then shoots and scores a goal, giving his team a lead of 3-2. Team White realizes that they can't use conventional ways to defeat Ren and need to make plays, where he can't keep up even if he sees the logic. Isagi realizes that Ren's play was the same as their first game, and the essence of his soccer is to control people by manipulating their thoughts. But now, he is controlling everyone in the field, including his friends and foes. Seeing his incredible talent, Isagi wonders if he can beat a genius like Ren, and states that whatever they try on the field, Ren will read it, and in order to break away from his vision of field, we need to use our weapons to the max potential and create a chance so we can outrun him. As the trio heads to the center, Barou is still behind, gazing at them with an anger. As they restart the game, Isagi sees that Bachira and Ren had switched positions. He passes to Chigiri, who tries to use his speed and passes Aryu, but Ren blocks him. Sensing the danger, Chigiri realizes that he cannot pass Ren, so he passes the ball to Nagi. Isagi then waits to get in Bachira's blind spot and quickly changes direction. Seeing that, Nagi gives him a pass immediately and Isagi believes he passed them, but in that moment, Ren appears in front of him. Isagi is shocked and wonders what to do. He attempts to keep the ball, but isn't able to due to his physique. In that moment, Barou comes, stealing the ball and stating he beat Isagi. Seeing this, Isagi realizes that Barou was waiting patiently like a lion with an empty stomach for a chance to strike at his prey from a blind spot. Ren didn't expect that, and Isagi realizes that stealing from a teammate isn't in his playbook, which is why he couldn't anticipate it. Barou then takes the shot and scores, equalizing the game once again. Isagi then realizes that Barou's obsession with devouring him makes him more anomaly for Ren to predict his move, but reveals that he needs to be the one who Ren can't read it. When asked what's going on, Ren tells them that he has already inputted what he needed, referring to Barou's playstyles, and informs them that this will not happen again. Meanwhile, Isagi states that he intends to use Barou to create another unpredictable play and beat Ren with it. As the game continues, Isagi asks Chigiri to keep on pressuring the person with the ball using his speed. Chigiri faces Ren, who then passes to Bachira. Bachira notices that Isagi is keeping his distance, and a moment later, he hears Chigiri speeding and almost taking the ball from him. Bachira sees Ren as being free and in good position, however he realizes that Isagi is waiting for that. He made Chigiri pressure them, so that he can have more time reacting to Ren's movement. Bachira tries to dribble past Chigiri, but he keeps up with him. He then attempts it one more time, but this time Isagi also comes. Bachira is surprised, but still manages to pass by Isagi. However, as Isagi expected, Barou shows up and steals the ball. Bachira then realizes that Isagi used himself to bait Bachira and create a path for Barou to steal the ball. Barou uses a chop feint to free himself from Tokimitsu. However, Ren then waits for him and clears the ball out of the field. Isagi realizes that Ren didn't read the situation, but managed to position himself just in time to stop somehow Barou. Isagi notes that the one who manages to control Barou and the field will win the game. Bachira is impressed that Isagi and Ren are reading each other and manage to compete at such level. As he sees two monsters on the field, Bachira is happy that he is seeing the football he always wanted to play. However, as the game resumes, both Isagi and Ren pass Bachira like he wasn't even there. Bachira realizes that he doesn't exist in their world. Isagi sees that Chigiri and the rest are starting to get tired. If they keep up with this tempo, the quality of everyone's passes and initial movements will be affected, and the one who manages to catch those changes will be able to dominate the final phase of the game. Ren and Tokimitsu start passing to each other, not giving chance for Chigiri to pressure them, and for Isagi to be able to make a decision. As this is a new play from them, Isagi wonders what's so different about it, but then realizes it's all possible thanks to the physique and unlimited stamina of Tokimitsu. Ren then gives a pass to Tokimitsu, who then feels this will open him up to score, but as he gets the ball, Chigiri tackles him, clearing the ball, while Barou tries to hold him down. The referee blows the whistle for a foul, a tackle from behind, and malicious sliding. Barou and Chigiri are receiving yellow cards. The free kick is within Ren's range. Isagi and Chigiri form a wall, and Isagi wonders if he will shoot or pass. Isagi then considers his options. If Ren decides to pass, he needs to quickly move to the left to help Nagi against Bachira and Aryu. Isagi knows that if he jumps, he will be slow to react to an eventual pass. Isagi then decides to wait for the moment Ren kicks to decide on what to do. Ren then takes a shot, a topspin shot that goes above Isagi's head and starts dipping from there, and manages to score as Isagi didn't jump. Ren states that Isagi was probably wondering if it will be pass or shot, and that his analysis is so off as this situation never had two options, since his goal was the only choice. Bachira notes that Isagi and Ren are listening to their own egos and scoring goals for themselves. He then wonders why is he playing football, and is it to find a fiend? However, with reasons like that, he realizes he won't be able to catch up to those two. Barou is annoyed that he wasn't in the wall, as he would have jumped and stopped the ball. However, Isagi knows that Ren only shot above his head because he was in the wall, and if it was Barou, he would have taken a different shot. Isagi then realizes that he can use himself and devour himself to beat Ren. As Barou and Chigiri argues each other, Nagi states that in order to stay in the game, they must score the next. Hearing this, Isagi gets fired up and tells him that this is way too early for them to play the last game. The game continues. Barou rushes forward but sees that Isagi is following him with the ball, and wonders that it's rare for Isagi to keep up with his movement, guessing that he is telling him to get past Tokimitsu. Barou then attempts to pass him, but Tokimitsu sticks to him and doesn't let him go. The two then see how Isagi passes by them, and Barou realizes that Isagi used him as a decoy. Bachira then catches up to Isagi and tells him to not leave him behind. Seeing this, Nagi asks Isagi to pass him and wants him to do one too. Barou also tries to free himself from Tokimitsu and wants the ball. However, Isagi knows that Ren can see those options as well and is waiting for them. Isagi was waiting for people to cluster like that, and as everyone is focused on how he will pass, Isagi takes a long pass into the open area, making Chigiri run for it. As everyone wants to get a pass from Chigiri, they all run towards the goal, trying to find a position for themselves. Isagi waits for a moment to disappear from Ren's vision, and then takes a diagonal run towards the post. Isagi then asks Chigiri to pass him the ball, and he sees that and passes him, a pass that would give Isagi a chance to take a direct shot. As the ball comes, Ren appears behind him, managing to react to the pass and get himself in position to block Isagi's direct shot. However, Isagi was anticipating this as well, and instead of taking a direct shot, he takes a reverse direct backheel shot, a play Ren didn't anticipate. Isagi scores and equalized the game 4-4. As everyone gets shocked at this play, Isagi states that he devoured Ren and will surpass him, while celebrating his victory over Ren with his friends. Barou wonders if this was all seen by Isagi, and Isagi confirms. He explains that his plan was originally to take the shot from the post, but then assumed that Ren will be able to see it and block it. But to block it, he would need to take a step across him, which would allow him to take this heel shot. The goal was risky, but he believed in Ren's abilities and decided to take it. Barou notes it was a gamble, and if he missed, they could have counterattacked, but Chigiri states that only stuff like this can work against Ren. As their last play inches closer, Team White gets fired up and states that they will crush them. Isagi tells them that they are still tied in the game, and if they don't win, this will all be meaningless. Bachira wonders what bit of ego is he missing to be able to catch up to Isagi and Ren. He came to Blue Lock to find the monsters, a friends with who he can play. However, his ego doesn't seem enough to get him to where they are. As the next goal will decide the game, Ren tells his teammates to give everything they have in the next play, and he will draw them a goal with their efforts. As the game continues, Barou and Chigiri pressure Tokimitsu to stop them from doing their previous play. As a result, Isagi expects Tokimitsu to return the ball to Ren, and he to attempt and intercept it. However, Ren manages to keep the ball and gives a high pass to Aryu. Nagi knows that he doesn't have a chance when the ball is at its highest point and doesn't jump when Aryu jumps. He times it when the ball is high enough for him to reach and jumps, and steals it from the air. However, Aryu with his long legs manages to reach it and steal it again. Isagi covers Ren and Aryu sees that, but he then gives a pass to Bachira, who is free. Bachira feels he is being tested and wonders what to do. He asks his monster on what to do so that Isagi and Ren acknowledge him. But as he wonders, Chigiri comes and clears the ball, which then reaches Barou. As this isn't typical for Bachira, Nagi wonders if he is losing on purpose. Nagi suggests that Bachira shouldn't think he will be chosen even if he loses. At the moment, Nagi doesn't believe he needs Bachira in his current state. If they win, Nagi wants Ren, and guesses that Isagi feels the same way. Bachira then realizes that if he loses, he won't be chosen, and as Ren will be chosen, he won't be able to play with neither of them. Barou passes to Isagi, who then passes back, and the two start 1-2 passes to break through. Bachira is desperate. He doesn't want to lose the game as he will lose his friends, and doesn't want to be alone like before. Bachira recalls his mother's words, and wonders in what he believed in. His mother then tells him it's his true inner voice. Wanting to trust his true inner voice, Bachira pressures Isagi and Isagi is forced to pass to Chigiri, so that he doesn't lose the ball to Ren. Chigiri then takes a pass to the goal, where Nagi stops the ball with his chest, and also passing it to Isagi to take a shot. Bachira is desperate, and doesn't want the game to end, so that he gets one more chance to prove himself. Isagi then takes the shot, aiming in the top right corner. However, Ren appears there and blocks the shot. The ball then reaches Bachira, who starts a counterattack. Bachira tells his monster to not come out as when it's out. He unconsciously looks for him. Thanks to him, he wasn't alone, but while looking for him, he lost touch of his own voice and started playing football to find someone. He can't continue any further with the monster and tells it to disappear. Isagi faces Bachira, and the monster appears next to Isagi. Seeing it, Bachira realizes that if someone was there, Bachira could get in behind Isagi. Bachira gets annoyed, as he can't shake of his habit of looking for the monster. When he came to Blue Lock, Isagi became his monster and Bachira became someone who couldn't play football without Isagi. Bachira realizes that if he doesn't break free from the monster, he can't move forward and won't be able to hear his voice. The monster then suggests passing to Tokimitsu, but Bachira refuses to pass again to the monster. He then decides to play alone and score himself, and manage to get behind Isagi using a nutmeg. As Bachira's play is super aggressive, Isagi feels that something has changed. Chigiri then appears in front of Bachira, and the monster suggests passing to Aryu. However, Bachira again refuses, and uses another nutmeg to pass Chigiri as well. Barou then attempts to stop Bachira, but he again uses a nutmeg and passes him as well. Nagi then faces Bachira and Chigiri, and Barou are on his sides. Ren then frees himself and waits for an easy pass from Bachira. However, Isagi sees that and sticks to Ren to block him. Barou and the rest notice that the enemy team had left their field open, and they just need to take the ball from Bachira. Bachira then lifts the ball, making everyone realize he intends to continue playing alone. Isagi then realizes Bachira is the last piece, and he needs to devour him to beat Ren. Bachira recalls how much joy he had when he was young and played with the ball, being one with it. He kicks the ball on his neck and then as he lets it fall behind, he kicks it with his heel and sends it ahead. As he passes Nagi, Nagi attempts to stop him, but Bachira frees himself. He thanks the monster for being on his side until now, and says his goodbyes, as he intends to continue alone. Bachira then takes the shot, however Isagi then appears to block it, stating he knew that Bachira would go in alone.
Isagi follows Rin, noting that at some point Bachira would pass him and Rin is in the perfect position for a pass. However, he notices that Bachira had changed and decides to believe that he won't pass and will do unpredictable play in which he passes everyone. Isagi decides to leave Rin and heads toward Bachira. Isagi manages to block Bachira's shot, and in that moment, his play surpassed that of Rin. However, the ball randomly then lands at Rin's feet. Bachira states he fought alone when he believed that he didn't need anyone. However, in the world where he stands alone, Isagi came and find him. Team Red is happy that they won. Tokimitsu wonders who will they pick, and Ryu guesses the two of them will have to choose again. Bachira tells them to wait, wanting also to say who he wants. However, Rin tells them to shut up as he will pick the one this time. That surprises the rest. Rin explains that he couldn't read the last play at all, and it's the first time he feels defeated since he came here. Which means, now there is one more person he needs to crush. He then called. Team Red along with Isagi now are the first to clear the second stage. Isagi wonders why he was chosen. He couldn't beat Rin once again. He doesn't think anyone could have predicted or the ball would land, and wonders if the difference between him and Rin is just a bit of luck. He then stops and turns to his former teammates, and they lost due to luck and were quite close in beating the top 3 players. Chigiri tells him to shut up as the reality is that Rin chose him. Barou also tells him to leave as he feels like killing him. Nagi states that Isagi was the main character in this team and they pay the price for being the supporting cast. However, next time they meet him, they will crush him. Isagi knows that he wouldn't have reached this far without the 3 of them and thanks them. He tells them to catch up and leaves. In the tunnel, Tokimitsu states he would have picked Isagi too. Aries states he would have picked Chigiri since he is glam. However, Isagi's backheel shot was also glam and welcomes Isagi to the team. Bachira states that Isagi said he will steal him back, but it ended the other way around. Isagi apologizes and states it's kinda lame. However, Bachira states it's fine as being away from him meant that he can fight on his own. Bachira explains that he was afraid of playing alone, but now that he did it, he learned that the only one who can save him is he himself. He believes that they surpassed Rin in that moment and thanks Isagi as now that he can play without Isagi, playing with Isagi is even more fun. After that, Isagi asks Rin on why he lost to him and what he lacked in order to beat him. Rin states that even a monkey can answer that and the answer is luck. Isagi wants something more concrete so that he can improve. Rin explains that luck isn't just some coincidental factor and it's a hidden element on the field that favors those who act on desire, and if he can't understand that, he has no right to live in the world of victory and defeat. Ego then speaks, congratulating them on passing the selection and decides to explain what luck is. He wonders if they have ever been shat on by a pigeon. It's annoying, but you realize that if you have noticed the shit on the ground and the birds on top, you could have avoided it. Ego gives another example with a lottery at a summer festival, and if the stall owner doesn't put in the winning number, is it really a bad luck when you don't win? Luck doesn't exist just anywhere, and it only comes to those who put themselves in its path. It has been increasing their inevitability to score. However, when their inevitability collides with that of their opponent, a coincidence is created and it becomes the ground zero of luck. He reminds them the last play. Everyone decelerated or stopped when Bachira was with the ball, anticipating a shot. Aside from Isagi, who anticipated him to break free and continued to run, Rin was the. If Rin also decelerated like the rest, he still may have gotten the ball. However, he may have been in a different position where the defense team would have swarmed him before he could shoot. Ren ran into an area where he could score if the ball got to him and then waited for his luck. Naturally, there was the possibility the ball to go to an opponent, and if that happened Team White would have won. Without a doubt the luck was a determining factor in this game, but even with luck on your side, if you stood by and did nothing, the opportunity would go to waste. They need to improve so that they to be ready to use the chance when it comes around, as football is full of luck and coincidences. If they have done all they can keep their head high up and need to accept the outcome of coincidences. Isagi wonders if Rin knew all of this. Rin states that not all egos. He knows that he beat Isagi only by luck and his goal was him accepting that, which is also his punishment to remind him that he lost to Isagi. Ego states that they are moving to the third selection and in 24 hours they will play 5-on-5 game against the World 5. Back in their room, they are watching a video about the World's 5 who they will face. Leonardo Luna, known as the Scion of Royale, is a Spanish national player. The English League's top scorer Adam Blake, the goal junkie, an England national player. World-class free kick taker, Pablo Cavazos, known as Baby Freckles, an Argentinian national player. The hungry heavy tank, Dada Silva, known as the Heavy Tank, a Brazilian national player. And the French League's newest superstar, Julien Loki, the child prodigy, a 17-year-old French national player. Isagi and the rest are impressed by the lineup. Isagi is also surprised that Julien is their age and Isagi goes to check him and seeing he is doing yoga, he joins him so that he can catch up to him. A yoga cooldown and meditation. Isagi wonders if Rin is in bad terms with his brother, but Rin denies it, while also stating it's an awkward healthy relationship that will fix itself if he beats him. Isagi states that Rin is his rival and will stick to him to become stronger. Rin states that Isagi isn't anything to him, let alone a rival. He may have lost to Isagi in that moment, but that will never happen again. Isagi gets annoyed and tries to replicate, which makes Rin angry. At night, Isagi can't fall asleep also joins him. Bachira explains that the monster Blue Lock and meeting Isagi want to devour the World 5. The next day, they face the World 5. Silva laughs, finding the Japanese to Luna then stops them, stating that they are acting like a children. Luna guesses he is Rin, noting that he heard from him from Ego, little brother, who made himself a name while playing for one of Royale's subordinate teams. If he indeed brother, Luna is sure that Rin is talented. The game between Blue Lock's Team Blue and World 5 starts. The rules are the same as those during the second selection. Cavazos. As Bachira refuses to pass, Isagi decides to adapt to his new egoistic dribble and position himself for a good pass. Loki however comes out of nowhere, blocking Isagi. Bachira however, then passes. Isagi realizes the pass is scores. With a move they have never seen before, an instant chemical reaction, Aries states that they were able to take a bite on the world-class players. The World then states he is scoring next. After Rin scores, he tells his teammates to keep acting as decoys for him. Bachira is impressed, noting that Rin plays quite different with Isagi on the team. Isagi knows that goal was inspired by his off-the-ball movement as he tried to devour the image in Bachira's head. Tokimitsu and Aryu are also impressed with Aryu, noting that the chemistry between Isagi and Bachira is driving them forward and Rin devouring it. He finds them making a glam triangle and wants them to include him to make it a square. Tokimitsu also wants in and they to turn it into a pentagon. The game restarts and the World 5 starts their first attack. Isagi faces Loki, who stops and wonders if this is okay as Isagi is full of weak spots. In an instant, Loki accelerates and moves past Isagi and then Bachira. Rin tries to stop him, noting that his route is obvious and Loki compliments him on his foresight, however he states he is fast and then moves past Rin in an instant. Loki then takes the shot and scores. The game continues with Blue Lock team having the ball. Rin faces Loki and stops for a moment. Luna then comes stealing the ball, wondering if he got that scared of Loki's speed, and that he got a tunnel vision from lack of experience. Luna then passes to Cavazos. Isagi and Bachira head towards him, but Cavazos makes a pass that surprises them. As it's high ball, Aryu feels it's his time, but Silva blocks him and outjumps him. Tokimitsu attempts to reach the ball, but he falls down after a body clash with Blake. Isagi is shocked to see Aryu losing an air battle and Tokimitsu being outmuscled. Blake then takes the shot and scores. Isagi realizes that every single weapon they have is being overpowered and World 5 are players they will never beat in their current state. Isagi finds football amazing and wants to reach that level too. The score quickly goes 1-4 for the World 5. Rin still haven't given up and faces Luna, who notes that he likes him as he is the only one who still thinks he can win, however he is going to discourage him now. Luna starts doing steps over and as Rin moves, he kicks the ball between his legs. As he passes him, he states that if he opens his legs that easily, people will think he is a loose guy. Luna then takes the shot and scores, ending the game with 5-1 victory. As the World 5 leave, they tell the Blue Lock team to not feel depressed as they didn't stand a chance to begin with and that they will be reporting their skills to Ego. JFU hears that Ego is paying 100 million to each of the World 5 players, plus $1 million per goal bonus. They are angry at how much money they are wasting and want Ego to explain himself. Ego states he wanted to give them a taste of the real world. Buritsuda states that the Blue Lock project is cancelled, due to complaints from parents, unclear picture of the project's aim, and the fact that it had not produced any visible results. Ego then tells him he will show him results in a big match that will change Japan. Isagi and the rest feels that even though they lost, they now feel best in the world to be more realistic goal. Isagi notes to himself that Rin was different than them as he was the only one who kept believing they can win. As Isagi was overwhelmed, midway he started to feel he is just testing himself against better players and accepted that this was the best he can do at that point. While Isagi still looks up to those on the world stage, Rin was frustrated as to him they were equal and he wanted to defeat them. Isagi believes that someone like Rin can become the best in the world and he intends to watch him from the front row seat, while also surpassing him to become the best in the world himself. Isagi and the rest are having English lessons. As they try to learn the language, everyone except Isagi is asking Rin for help. Rin can't take it anymore and starts yelling as he isn't their tutor. Moments later, they hear the announcer revealing that the second selection is over. Everyone who passed should dress up and head to the central joint room. 35 players from the 7 teams have made it into the third selection and they will be entering in the order they passed. Isagi wonders if the members of Team Z had passed. Bachira wonders if he is missing them, but Isagi explains that he is wondering how much stronger are they now and how much have they evolved. The first team that cleared the stage are Rin, Aryu, Tokimitsu, Bachira and Isagi. The second team then enters consisting of Nagi, Barou, Chigiri, Tsurugi and Kiora. Nagi wonders why Isagi looks so relieved and if they may not make it. Barou gets angry for him looking down on them, but Isagi explains that he is happy and glad to see them again. The third team then enters, consisting of Ida Otoya, Aiki Himisu, Kenya Yukimiya, Haruhiko Yuzu, and Tabito Karasu. The fourth team consists of Akira Indoji, Tagetsunzaki, Shizuka Haiji, Reiji Hiragi, and Nijiro Nanase. The fifth team is Iki Niko, Yukio Ishikari, Yo Hayuri, and Kairu Saramadara. Isagi is happy to see Niko, stating he knew he would pass. Niko reminds him that he told him he will be the one to crush him. Chigiri notices that one person is missing. The announcer reveals that Nishioka got injured during the World 5 game and is currently recuperating. The door opens for the sixth team to enter and 3 players are fighting on who to enter first and look cool, but they end up tripping and falling. The team consists of Raichi, Gagamaru, Junichi Wanama, rank 79, who are the 3 that argued and fell. The other 2 members are Kyohei Shiguma and Shinjin Tanaka, who just stand and look surprised at their teammates. Isagi notes that there is one team left, and Nagi adds that Mikage and Kunigami are still missing. Isagi is sure they must be part of it. The 7th team then comes out with Igarashi leading it. Other members are Tetsu Sakura, Ran's Corona, Ryo, and Nagi relaxes seeing Ryo. Chigiri and Isagi are looking at who the last player is, and Ryusuke Shido then comes out, stating that's everyone. Isagi realizes that Kunigami is missing. He asks Ryo where he is and Ryo explains that they lost, and he was chosen. Isagi can't believe that Kunigami would let it all end here, but Shido tells him that Kunigami did let it end, and he is the one that sent him sliding down to hell. He notes that Kunigami had great physique and his honest heart was pure and graceful, but on the field no one cares if you're a good guy or not, and anyone who ain't living for those explosive flashes is trash. Kunigami was innocent and honest hero, but he didn't help Shido level up. Isagi tells him to shut up as he doesn't know Kunigami, however, Shido states that just like he said, no one cares about their story. He then does a jumping back kick right at Isagi's head, however, Chigiri manages to react fast and pulls Isagi down, making him avoid the kick. Bachira prepares to fight, but Ego shows up on screen and stops them, stating there is no time to worry about those that didn't make it. Ego explains that something happened and they want to shut down the Blue Lock project, so he decided to challenge them. Next selection will take 3 weeks from now with the future of Blue Lock depending on it. A special match between Japan's U20 team and Blue Lock 11. Ego states that if they win the match, they will hijack Japan's U20 team. The JFU agree to the match as Blue Lock consists of mostly amateur underage players and they intends to can the project, while also make some money from the game. Ego states they can't allow themselves to lose or they will be remembered as a failed training project, and he also believes that Blue Lock is on the level to take on Japan U20. JFU also intends to win the game and have added one more player to their team, Saito. Ego then motivates them that being on the U20 team is no longer just a dream and they are here to create a new epic. Isagi states he used to believe that football is a game where everyone fight as one, however he now knows that isn't true. Football exists for strikers and those who score the most are the greatest. The biggest joy as a striker is to score yourself. He isn't fighting for someone else's dream, but for his own. Isagi was no one until recently, but if he wins now, he can be on Japan's U20 team. Isagi doesn't intend to let them close Blue Lock and intends to become the best striker in the world. And this brings the season 1 of Blue Lock to an end.